Jim Kenney said during the news conference on Tuesday, adding that the city would reassess the situation if a compromise between officials and camp leaders cannot be reached. And so they don't want to send in the police to do this, he said, adding that forcibly removing camp residents would be a last resort. However, the mayor would not disclose what the city's plans are. He said he didn't want to share the strategies and put first responders at risk. So we'll see what happens with that. Certainly, people deserve housing. We'll see how that is worked out between the people who are in this encampment and city officials.
Yeah, you know, I do think that, and I believe, not even think, I feel that, you know, all people need housing. I don't feel that, you know, anyone should really be homeless out in the streets because we have the means and we have the ability to be able to house folks. But just like you mentioned yesterday, there are so many reasons as to why people are homeless. You know, you have economic issues, you have, you know, mental disability issues, and you have, you know, drug addiction issues. And so if you are going to solve this problem, you need to attack it at all angles.
That's
you
right.
really do.
That's right. That's right. And so we'll see what happens with that homeless encampment. Of course, you know, look, I feel for him. I've been there, but I know what I had to do in order to get out of it. Certainly, we are available, I think, to help people, but you have to want to be helped. And so we'll see what happens with that. Story number 2. Here's the bad news. You won't be getting a coronavirus stimulus check before the election. Here's the worst news. You might not get one after the election either. Senate Democrats scuttled a scaled-back GOP coronavirus rescue package yesterday as the parties argued to a standstill over the size and scope of the aid, likely ending hopes for coronavirus relief before the November election. The mostly party-line vote capped weeks of wrangling that gave way to election season political combat and name-calling over a fifth relief bill that all sides say they want but are unable to deliver. The bipartisan spirit that powered earlier aid measures is all but gone. I'm going to tell you what happened. The election is in, less than 2 months, right? Democrats don't want to give Trump credit for sending y'all another check with his name on it, because that's what he's going to do, put his name on it again, right? Like the money is from him personally and not really your money that's coming back to you. And so we'll see what happens after the election, but my feeling is this. If the Republicans still have the Senate, guess what? You still might not get a coronavirus relief check because the Republicans aren't going to want to give Joe Biden credit for sending you a check. And so, I mean, you know, this whole thing really is political. It's about who gets credit for what right before the election. And so, you know, Democrats could say it's about, you know, y'all didn't include any checks for the people in it, but really, nah, they want things to kind of stay where they are right now so that Donald Trump doesn't have another issue that he can say, look, I sent you this money. Don't believe that stuff you hear from Bob Woodward. I sent you this money. That's my name on that check. And so this whole thing is political. We'll see what happens after the election, but I'm not really hopeful that it's going to be any more checks in the mail.
Yeah, I'm not very hopeful either. I'm still trying to figure out how he got away with being able to sign his name on those checks. Like, I'm like, how were you able to do that? The thing that pisses me off the most from a Democratic standpoint and from a Republican standpoint, y'all are for the people.
Yeah.
So act like you're for the people. Give us our money, run us our checks, do what you got to do to make sure that we can all get back on our feet. This is not funny. Like, it's really not funny. People are out here dying, struggling, trying to figure out how they're going to get their next meal, and y'all want to hold on to the pennies like they're yours.
I know.
That's our money. It's our money.
You right. You is right, because that's, I mean, it's ridiculous. And so just remember this at election time, you know, and the reason that Democrats stood up against it, other than the political reasons, they were like, yo, where's the money for the people in here? They were going to give money. See, that's what Republicans like to do. They like to give money to companies and corporations and rich people. And the Democrats were like, well, how come there's no checks in here for the people? And so, you know, it's just a mess. It's a mess. People are going to struggle. We're going to be all right, just like we always are. But just remember this at election time. Story number 3, my commentary for the day. Imagine this. Imagine you run a country and something's killing the people you're supposed to protect. Now imagine being so selfish, so utterly trifling, that you lie about it because you care more about power than you do about the people. If you can imagine doing that, congratulations, you're Donald Trump, because nobody else would tell the kind of lies that would kill 190,000 people. But that's what Trump did. And we got receipts. Matter of fact, Bob Woodward wrote a book about it. Want to hear it? Here we go. Donald Trump told Woodward that he knew the virus was airborne and deadly, but he downplayed it because he didn't want people to panic. He said that he downplayed it because he didn't want people to panic. And now Trump is telling us that if Woodward thought that what Trump said was so bad, Woodward should have gone to the authorities. And I'm like, hold up, wait a minute, Trump. You are the authorities. You're the president. It's not Bob Woodward's job to warn the American people about you. It's your job to warn the American people about this virus. But instead of doing your job, you held rallies where nobody wore masks. You told people to swallow disinfectant. You let folks think the virus was a hoax, and you did it all knowing that black and brown people were disproportionately dying from it. Maybe that's because of the other thing that Woodward got on tape. Trump thinks there's no such thing as white privilege, that black people have no right to complain, and that when white people like Woodward mention racism, they've drunk the Kool-Aid. Well, Mr. President, let me tell you this. Racism is real, just like coronavirus, and it won't go away if you pretend it's not there. So do us a favor. Tell the truth you should have told us months ago when almost 200,000 Americans were dying to hear it. I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let us know where you are on these various things we are talking about on this morning show, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. There's a number of things going on in Philadelphia, and one of the things that we cannot forget is the crisis of gun violence that's going on in this city. You're going to see me on a panel on Channel 6. I think it's coming on in a couple of days about the issue of gun violence, and one of the things that I was asked is should we declare a gun violence emergency? That would entail having a curfew and putting, I guess more cops on the street and that sort of thing. My question is this, and I want to hear from our community on this. Do you really believe that the people who are shooting each other on our streets are going to be swayed by a curfew? Because here's the thing. People are being shot in broad daylight, man. People are being shot, in front of their children. Children are being shot in front of their parents. Women are being shot who are pregnant. Like, do you really believe that setting a curfew, we've already been under curfew. We're supposed to be under lockdown for several months, and the gun violence rate shot up even while people were under lockdown. I really believe that kind of thing is a well-intentioned solution. So don't get me wrong. I know it's well-intentioned, but it's like treating the symptom rather than treating the disease. It's like treating the back end when you could have stopped it at the front end. You know what the problem is? The problem is economic. The problem is racism. The problem is lack of education. The problems are things that happen way before the gun gets in the person's hand and they pull the trigger. The problem is that people don't know how to handle disputes. The problem is that people really are dealing with some underlying issues that they're angry about, because otherwise, why would you be shooting somebody because they looked at you the wrong way? Otherwise, why would you be shooting somebody because they stepped on your sneaker? Why would you be shooting somebody over something that really doesn't matter? No, there are some underlying issues that bring this violence to us. The violence is the symptom of a disease that really is grounded in racism. that really is grounded in an anti-poverty sentiment, where you have a city that's in 25% poverty, and most of those people who are in poverty are black and brown people, and they live in neighborhoods where the schools don't educate them properly. They live in a neighborhood where they don't have the same kind of opportunities that other people have. They live in a neighborhood where the most successful person they see is the dude on the corner slinging. So, like, you know, what do you think is going to happen? It's not that these things are happening because they're not supposed to. They're happening because of the design of our society. Our society is designed to keep certain people on the bottom and to keep certain people on the top. The question is, what do we do to help those people who are in that situation on the bottom? How do we help them to get out of that situation? How do we help them to see beyond the corner? How do we help them to have some hope that maybe I can get out of this and do something better? How do we provide them with jobs? How do we provide them with better educational systems? How do we provide them with opportunity? How do we provide them with a choice other than having the gun in their hand, doing what they see around them, and really trying to survive in a community that is beset by this violence, where it's kill or be killed, where you really are in a survival mode all the time? It's easy to look from the outside in and say, oh, y'all just need to do this or that. Well, are you living in that situation? You know, I think that we need to really be looking at this thing holistically, man. We really do. And here's the other thing, and this is a hard truth. You can't save everybody. That's a hard truth. You got to help those who want to be helped. And that's with anything. Gun violence, drug addiction, anything. You have to help those who want to be helped. You know, and once you begin to do that and people begin to see results, then guess what? You'll have other people coming to you. You won't have to come to them. But people need to see results. I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. There is no one-size-fits-all solution. There is no one-size-fits-all organization, and if anybody tells you that, they're lying. Because everybody's situation is different, but the one thing that is the commonality is that people have been placed in an environment where they don't have what they need in order to survive, where it is designed for them to fail. And when people see that they are in an environment where the rules are set up against them, guess what? They're not going to obey the rules. They're not. I hear people talking about we need to lock more people up. Okay, let me tell you something, man. And this is I'm just being completely honest. A lot of these cats don't care about jail. Jail is a rite of passage. Jail don't scare them. You know, so that is not a one-size-fits-all solution, right? I think part of what has to happen is that we have to realize that we have to deal with people on an individual level. I hear people saying we need to spend more money on. Nah, well, the money y'all already spending is going to waste. It's not money. It's relationships, it's opportunity, it's people believing that there is hope for something better. Because if they don't believe that, then they going all out. I'm going to die at 21 anyway. I can't tell you how many times I done heard that. These cats don't believe they're going to live to be 30. And so the reality is this, man. We have to be dealing with people on a one life at a time basis. And every plan is not going to work for everyone. So we got to figure out, okay, who is this person? What is their issue? How do we deal with it? Bottom line, some people going to have to go to jail. Some people might not survive it. But for those who can be helped, man, we need to be figuring out who is this person? What do they need? How can we help them? How can we get them out of this? How can we convince them that there's hope for something better for them? I want to talk about gun violence today. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
Dietz & Watson has been making premium meats and artisan cheeses for over 80 years. And when it comes to stacking sandwiches and party platters, they've got something for everyone in the family, like maple honey turkey breast, American cheese, buffalo chicken, and more. So get to your local deli and taste 4 generations of family recipes. With Dietz & Watson on the table, you'll have everyone coming back for seconds and thirds. Dietz & Watson, it's a family thing since 1939.
Listen live at WordRadio.com.
During these unprecedented times, we're creating a lot of extra trash, and that means delays across the city with curbside collection. That's why we have some simple tips that will help you to reduce curbside waste and collection delays. Reduce food waste by using garbage disposals or composting, and limit bulk waste to 2 items per household. Set out trash properly. That means using sturdy trash bags and covering containers with lids. Make sure your trash bags are not heavier than 40 pounds. Set out trash no earlier than 7 p.m. before your collection day and 7 a.m. the day of collection. And remember, you can drop off materials at sanitation convenience centers 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Last and most importantly, thank our sanitation workers for their hard work during these challenging times. We all have a role to play to curb our waste and help our city. Learn more at philadelphiastreets.com.
Now, a traffic update on Word Radio.
Good morning. This report's sponsored by Staples Stores, southbound 95. You're getting busy through the construction. Cotman down through Bridge, a bit slow. Again, Allegheny through Girard, northbound, no major problems there. Schuylkill Expressway eastbound. Delay Montgomery to Spring Garden, westbound, not bad. Divine Expressway westbound, light for the Parkway through the Schuylkill Expressway. PA Turnpike and Blue Ridge 476 looking pretty good. 55 northbound Deptford into 42, a bit busy there now. Staples helps your business from office essentials to health essentials at amazing prices. This week at 40% back in rewards when you spend $75 on Anger, $175 on toner, and 40% back in rewards on all paper. Offer ends 9/12. Exclusions apply. Details at staples.com/40 and rewards at Staples. For more traffic information, log on to sigalert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
You're waking up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones.
Good morning.
Right now on Word Radio,
96.1 FM
and 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM and 96.1 FM WURD. We're talking about a number of things today. Today is September 11th, and of course September 11th, 2001 was a day I think where all of us remember where we were. It was a traumatic day. I was working at the Philadelphia Weekly at the time, and I went into work, and everybody was in the conference room looking at the television, and a plane had crashed into a building, and everybody was like, well, wow, that's strange. Didn't the pilot see the building? Like, what happened? Why did that pilot crash into the building? And then another plane crashed into a building, and that's when we knew. Nobody had to say anything. It was silence, shocked silence in that room, and the world kind of changed in that moment. Where were you on September 11th? I want to hear from you about that, because there are some things that kind of change things in an instant, and that was one of them. September 11th, 2001. Where were you? on September 11th? And how did things change for you? I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. It's been interesting to watch also Donald Trump respond to Bob Woodward's book getting ready to come out, the audio recordings coming out in the last few days, specifically the ones around coronavirus, where you had Donald Trump saying that, yeah, I know that it's airborne. I know that it's deadly. It's worse than your most strenuous flu. And yet, while he's telling Bob Woodward this, he's telling people, it's going to go away like a miracle, right? He's telling the American public, that it's we got about 5 people, at this point, it's going to be fine. 190,000 people have died because the president knew how bad the coronavirus was and did nothing. He knew how bad the coronavirus was and he lied. Who's that trifling? Like, who does that? Who does that? Like, I didn't want people to panic. And I got to give a shout out to my man, Scott Charles. Scott Charles is a Twitter ninja, right? So he said, yeah, okay, this is the same dude that's telling suburban housewives that Cory Booker get ready to come and spray paint their garages, right, and move in affordable housing. But he talking about he didn't want people to panic. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you talking about, man? What are you talking about? No, you want people to panic about racism. You want people to panic about black people advancing. You want people to panic about Mexicans coming to take over the country. Like, you want people to panic about your little racist fantasies, but you talk about you don't want people to panic about coronavirus that's actually killing them? Come on, bruh. Why are you walking around without a mask on when you know that it's airborne? Why are you trying to convince your followers that they don't need a mask, they don't need to take it seriously? It's a Democratic hoax. Remember that? Like, and you knew he needed to go to jail. I'm very sick. He needed to go to jail. That's a crime, man. That's a crime. And today on September 11th, when I think about this, and I was thinking about it on the way in. When I think about the fact that on September 11th, almost 3,000 Americans lost their lives, right? And we went all around the world to get vengeance for that. And you know what? I understand that. That's what America had to do. I get it, right? I don't necessarily get Iraq in the wake of September 11th, but I do get the mission to find and eliminate Osama bin Laden. I get that, right? But this dude has killed 190,000 people. It's your fault. It's your fault that 190,000 people are dead. And that's more clear than ever because you knew that it was airborne. You knew that it was deadly. You knew that it was dangerous. And still, you talking about you downplayed it because you didn't want people to panic. I was talking to my son about this yesterday. My son is 16 years old. My son said people panicked anyway. People were going to the grocery store to the point where they had to, ration out the food. People panicked anyway. So if the people going to panic anyway, why not just tell them the truth? Why is my son 16 and he got more sense than you and you the president? 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let us know where you are on these various things we're talking about on this morning show. 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio and let us know where you are in these various things that we are talking about on this morning show. Going to go to the phone lines. Let's talk to Malik from Mount Airy on line 1.
Good morning. I'm going to talk about, I'm going to leave 45 alone today. I'm going to talk about what happened on 9/11 for me.
Yeah, man.
I was actually literally walking in when the first plane crashed into the building to my first day of orientation at my new job. I was working downtown at a hotel, and literally, when the first plane crashed, he was like, oh, man, they had a terrible accident in New York. Man, that's crazy. And as I was walking through, talking to the first person I introduced myself to, boom, second plane hit.
Yeah.
And he said, that ain't no accident.
That's right.
You don't accidentally hit the same building twice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And literally, I was in orientation. Maybe 20 minutes later, they was like, we got to send y'all home. Another plane just hit the Pentagon. They're shutting down the entire country.
Yeah.
I was shocked. I was stupefied. I had never seen anything like that before or since. And it was numbing because what's going on type of feeling. But it's something I'll always remember. And I know where I was, when it happened, how it happened, everything that was going on around. It's one of those type of moments in your life, and you're like, wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is this is real. This is happening. They shut down Philadelphia. I walked home. It was it was one of those days where it's like, is this really happening to me?
Yeah.
So I remember that day quite well. Like it's still fresh in my memory.
Yeah, it was a crazy day. It was a crazy day. Thanks, Malik.
I actually have one question.
Yes.
If I know I can get 190,000 people hurt and I'm not the president, wouldn't that be considered as an act of terror?
Yes, it would.
Y'all have a great day.
You have a great day, too. You have a great day, too. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, you know, we think about September 11th, right? And it is a day that I think did something that nothing else could do. It made us, as Americans, really bind together in a way I had not seen before, and I have not seen since, right? Because people were afraid. People understood for the first time that, you know what? Nah, we're not each other's enemies right now. We've got an enemy that is not from within. We got an enemy that is coming from someplace else, and that enemy doesn't care if you're black, you're white, you're rich, you're poor, you're a businessman, you're a maintenance worker. That enemy doesn't care. The thing that really made 9/11 so deep for me is that 9/11 happened at the World Trade Center in New York. In 2001, that's the year my first book was released by Random House. It was called Pipe Dream. And they sent me on a tour around the country to promote that book. And one of the places I went was the Borders bookstore in the World Trade Center. In July of 2001, 2 months, less than 2 months before the World Trade Center was hit by those planes, I was in the World Trade Center doing a book signing. And so when I saw that happen, I'm like, man, I could have been in there. You know, it was a deep, deep thing. And so I want to hear from you. Where were you on September 11th when the planes hit the World Trade Center? I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. I want to go back to the phone lines, but also you can weigh in on Facebook at onWURD. That's FORWURD. Commissioner Sabir is on line 5. Commissioner Sabir, how you doing?
Hey, good morning, man. I'm doing well, man.
Good.
I'm just reflecting on what you were saying.
Yeah.
In regards to September 11th, man, I remember I was on Cheney campus. I was on a bus, on a 120. I got off the bus, and then when I got off the bus, it was like some of my students like, hey, man, your boys bombed New York. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Mm-hmm.
My boys who? Like, you're Muslim, aren't you? Your boys, bombed September 11th. I'm like, what the?
Wow.
And it was it was just interesting that whole time how it just changed the world. Very interesting.
So I'm interested in the fact that they identified you as Muslim and act like you had something to do with it. I mean, how did that make you feel? Because there was a whole lot of Islamophobia that went around like after that.
Right. Well, again, it was a little different because I'm an African American Muslim, so it's not necessarily the same as maybe what the Arab community went through.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But it was still kind of like in shock because it was still African Americans saying your boys did this, your boys did that. I'm like, well, what do you know? Because I literally, I didn't know anything that was going on. I'm literally oblivious to everything.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time I get off the bus, they shutting down the campus, they doing everything. And I'm like, what the heck is going on?
Yeah.
Where was I? And they, they explain everything. I'm just seeing everything on television. I'm calling back home, talking to my mom and everybody, making sure everything is cool because, the planes got shut down and everything was shut down. It was just like, we don't know what's happening. It was just like,
it was crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy.
It was crazy. Commissioner Sabir, I want to thank you so much, and we're going to be reaching out to you because, of course, we need to hear about those mail-in ballots and everything else regarding the election, man. So thank you.
Yes.
All right, brother. All right. So, everybody, man, it's a day that you remember exactly what was going on. I remember my wife was calling me because she heard it on Mary Mason, and I go into work and I'm seeing everybody standing in that room, and it was a day, man. It was a day, and everything changed, and then they grounded the planes, and so there was this silence, this eerie silence, and the only time when I've seen that kind of eerie silence and the streets empty like that is when they shut down everything regarding this virus. That's the only other time I've seen that kind of silence and stillness in the streets. I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. Gloria from Sharon Hill is on line 1. Go ahead, Gloria.
Good morning, Solomon and Worth. How are you today?
Good, and you?
I'm okay. Can you hear me? A little static in my phone.
I hear you fine.
Okay, yeah, I was at work working in Logan at a daycare center. About 20 of 9, I got the phone call, and when the parents said, Miss Gloria, you open today? I said, yes, we are. Why? The girl turned on TV. I said, why? They've been bombed New York. I said, what? Couldn't find out when my boss called. He said, y'all turn the TV on right now and watch it. When we saw those planes hit those buildings like that, we said, oh, my gosh. I never saw it but that was so scary to see that.
Yeah.
And the parents came and got their children 1 o'clock. They didn't have no late fee that day. They came and got those children. I'll never forget, as long as I live.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. Gloria, I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WRD. You too. Let's talk to Bernadette from Atlanta on line 2. Go ahead, Bernadette.
Hi, good morning. How you doing?
Good, and you?
I'm fine. I'm talking about September 11th. I was living in San Diego, California at the time, and I was working for a two-way pager company. And at the time, we didn't know that most of our customers was from the East Coast in New York or whatever. I asked them to that day, and we would get a message saying, like, say, if I call your phone, your pager, and I say, hey, this is Solomon's pager or two-way pager, leave your message. So I have to type what the person say, and then I have to read it to verify that's the message you want to send.
Okay.
And when they said a plane hit the building in New York, and I said, okay, and your message is a plane hit the building in New York. And I was like, wait a minute, what do you mean? So I'm not supposed to talk like that to the person. And then, but I got all off script because, and then my coworkers, because we all sit in different cubicles, they started getting messages too. So everybody was like, wait a minute, did you just get a message about a plane hit the building? I'm like, yeah. So then we started getting messages of people that was in the building. Like they was trying to call their family and like, I love you. And we didn't realize that they were in the building till later on after we went to break and we saw it on the news. And I was like, wait a minute, I got messages from people that were stuck in the building saying, tell my family I love them, this and that. And we just went berserk. They had to send counselors into our office to help us out, because we was just distraught after that. Wow. Once we knew what was going on, it was, we really couldn't work the rest of the day. But we had to because we had so many calls coming in. So they had to call extra people to come in and for us to, to relieve us. But that was something I'd never forget. It's like I remember it like it was yesterday, like it was just a minute ago, because it was crazy. And like our whole office was just like had to be relieved because we couldn't believe that happened. Wow. So that's all I had to say, but just something I never forget the rest of my life.
I want to thank you for sharing that this morning on WURD. We are going to go to break. On the other side, we're going to continue our conversation. Where were you on September 11th, 2001? I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
The Murray Report.
Bringing you the latest in sports news and opinions.
Hosted by Chris Murray. Saturdays from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Right here on Word Radio. 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Streaming live on WordRadio.com and on the Word Radio app.
Right now, the health and financial security of older Americans are on the line. That's why AARP Pennsylvania is fighting for your voice to be heard. AARP Pennsylvania wants to make sure that you know all of your voting options and that all Americans can vote safely whether they choose to vote from home or in person. To learn more about your voting options, visit aarp.org/PA votes, paid for by AARP.
Listen to Laborers Live.
We created the weekend. We created the 40-hour work week. We just want enough to feed our family, be able to send our children to college, and let our next generation do better than we did.
To people that might have forgot how important unionism is in a country like the United States. People now infringing on our 8-hour workday, trying to work people more than 8 hours without overtime, trying to work people without benefits. In the long run, everybody's getting a fat paycheck except the worker. So this is really a wake-up call for America.
The struggle is continuous. Tune in to Laborers Live every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. Sponsored by LESIT, the Laborers Employers Cooperation Education Trust of the Laborers District Council of Philadelphia and vicinity.
Local 332, Sam Staten Jr. Business Manager. Local 57, Esteban Vera Business Manager. Local 135, Dan Woodall Jr. Business Manager. Local 413, James Harper Jr. Business Manager. The Laborers District Council, Ryan Boyer Business Manager. And Tony Staten, Executive Director of LESIT.
Be heard.
Be heard.
Want another way to join the conversation?
Follow us on social media.
Using the hashtag onWURD.
Be heard.
Stay connected to Word Radio.
Independent Black Media.
Now, a traffic update
on Word Radio.
Good morning. This report's sponsored by Staples Store. Southbound 95 jammed up Cotman down through Bridge. Through construction, busy again Allegheny through Girard. Northbound, no issues. Westbound Vine Expressway or slow from the Ben Franklin Parkway through the Schuylkill Expressway. Schuylkill Expressway eastbound Bluebird through the curve a bit slow. Delays Glab on to Belmont again from Montgomery through Spring Garden. Westbound 76, not too bad this morning. The Boulevard Route 1 looks good heading into 76. PA Turnpike, Bluebird 476 still in pretty good shape. In New Jersey, 55 northbound Deptford into 42 a bit slow. Staples helps your business from office essentials to health essentials at amazing prices. This week at 40% back in rewards when you spend $75 on ink or $175 in toner and 40% back in rewards on all paper. Offer ends 9/12. Exclusions apply. Details at staples.com/40 in rewards. Staples. For more traffic information, log on to sigalert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on Word Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD, and I want to welcome you back to Wake Up with Word. Kwesa, do you remember where you were on 9/11?
I do, actually. When I was on 9/11, I was actually at home. I was sick, so I wasn't at school, and I woke up to the second plane flying into the World Trade Center. And so, I was like, oh my gosh, what? I didn't know what was going on because, mind you, I wasn't feeling well, so I didn't see what happened prior to that. And then, I just remember being glued, to the television screen. The schools let out early because there was a plane that crashed, kind of in the South Jersey, Philadelphia area. So, a lot of people started panicking even in this area as well because of that other plane that went down. And And so, schools got let out early in South Jersey, and I think they got let out early here in Philly as well. And, I'll never forget the fact, and my uncle worked for New Jersey Port Authority. And so he was one of the first responders there, lost a lot of people. And, it's something that is very difficult for him to talk about. And a lot of people who he worked with, it's difficult for them to talk about. And we couldn't get a hold of him. It was a very scary time. It really was, and we were so concerned. I remember he sent, I think he sent a letter to us because he was just that busy, and it was so hard to really just kind of make phone calls back and forth because of the fact that he was out there. And so I'll never forget it, and I'm thankful and I'm grateful that my uncle is still here when a lot of other people did not have that same opportunity. And so I'm blessed, but a lot of people were not as fortunate. And so it really is just. It's rough. I don't think anybody, who was old enough to remember, I don't think any of us will really ever forget how we felt, when that happened and where we were and what was going on, because it felt like mass chaos. It really did.
Yeah, it did. And what I remember, and it's stark for me, is the stillness afterward. It was very still, right? For days after that, they grounded all of the flights. It just was very different. I had never seen a time where there weren't planes flying in the air, where there weren't a lot of cars on the street, where there weren't a lot of people moving around. And the only time I've ever seen it that still is really in the first days of the shutdown around this coronavirus back in March. Like, I've never seen it that still before or since. I want to hear from you. Where were you on September 11th, 2001? Give us a call, 215-634-8065. Let's go to Jacob from Olney on line 3. Go ahead, Jacob.
Hey, peace be unto you, Brother Solomon.
Same to you.
Yeah, look, 9/11, September 11th was already a date in my life because unlike the 3rd of September, that was the day my daddy died, right, in 74. So 9/11 was always, a little, I ain't going to say special, but it was already marked in my soul. I was on the phone with my sister. I had already been, went down to the school, going to work, and she called me and she said, put the TV on. A plane just crashed into, the World Trade in New York. So, I put the TV on and I'm down there looking because we was already talking about that was the day that Daddy died, right? So when the second plane hit, I said, oh, snap.
Yeah.
Being a Muslim, that wasn't the first time that the World Trade was under attack.
That's right.
Because they tried in the parking lot. They remember the bomb went off.
I do.
And everything, and I knew that was people calling themselves Muslims, and I said, Lord, don't let it be, somebody talking about this is Islam and this is what, and sure enough, I'm just saying, it took me into another way of just thinking about what is wrong with people that do ugly things like that and then espouse God and religion. And I know Islam don't teach that, right? So, again, that just put me on the fact that I was telling the truth. I used to, on the radio, I call the Islamic program and denounce it. And, I wasn't scared to because I know what the religion teaches. You can't say you're a Christian and go out and do ugly things in the name of Christianity without people who really understand what it's about trying to, again, I guess, how can you defend the whole religion other than just telling the truth about it? But, yeah, that day, man, that 9/11 thing, whoo,
Yeah.
But, hey, we here now, and, I see what we're going to do on November 3rd.
How about that?
Thank
How
you,
about
brother.
that? All right, I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD. Where were you on September 11th? Let's go to Derek from North Philly on line 4. Go ahead, Derek.
Good morning, Brother Solomon.
Good morning.
Love, peace, blessings, and prosperity.
Same to you, brother.
Thank you, man. When Brother Jacob was talking, I kept thinking about a song the Temptations had, Papa Was a Rolling Stone. It said it was the 3rd of September, Daddy died. So it just made me think about that. May your father rest in peace, no doubt. But Solomon, I agree with you as far as September, when this situation happened, it feels a lot like it does today, as it did then. The way how the world is, the way how people are moving to and fro, or lack of moving to and fro. I can recall when 911 hit. I was 41 years old, and I was working in a country club that I was dealing with racism and prejudiceness while I was maintaining for my family. So I was walking. I had a position there as a houseman, and I always felt like that made me felt like I was on a plantation for real. But anyway, so I'm walking through the kitchen, and the Mexicans had the TV on. So I didn't have time to stop because I had a job to do, so I'm doing the job. So when I come back many minutes later, it's still on, and nobody's in the kitchen. So I'm walking through. So finally, when I got to the point of just about finishing my job, I stopped for a minute, and that's how I realized what was going on. And as I was watching it, it made me feel like it was deliverance coming near, in the sense of the tribulation. Just the ideal of a tribulation through that action, it sparked in me that this is the beginning of things to take place and come. And I haven't felt this way since, and I don't like this feeling since this COVID-19. So I agree with you on that, no doubt.
All right, Derek, I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD. Where were you on September 11th? Let's talk to Ronnie from Philly on line 1. Go ahead, Ronnie.
Hey, good morning, Solomon. How you doing, brother?
I'm good. How are you?
Okay. I was living in the Bronx at the time. I lived in Philadelphia. I've been here 8 years, but at the time I was living in the Bronx. And I used to work at 395 Hudson. And I don't know, I can't really remember, but for some reason I didn't go to work that day. 395 Hudson is a couple of blocks up from the World Trade Center. And all right, my brother called me. My brother called me early in the morning, said, "Bro," I said, "Hey, what's wrong? What's up, Jay?" Said, "Did you see the news?" I said, "Nah." I said, "Turn the news on." So I turn the news on. I see the World Trade Center on fire. I'm like, oh, man, first thing came to my mind, I said, man, they tried it in 93 again? So as I'm looking at the TV, another plane just came out in the west. Bang. Yeah. The only thing came to my head, I said, the world is over. So I got up, I dressed up, and I went outside. I just see people, when I say panic, I ain't never see panic like that. I really thought a bomb was about to blow the world up. So I went up to the roof. It's a 4-story building up in the Bronx. They got some high buildings. And living in the Bronx, you can look straight. Hudson is straight across. And I see, the guy, we all on the roof. It was almost like a movie. And you just see the Trade Center that's up in smoke. And as, the time was going by, you just see the building go down. And to this day, I can remember clear as day. I never seen nothing in my lifetime, something like that. Now to see the pandemic, it's like it's all over again. Yeah. So that's what I say. That's what I have to say. That's all right.
Thanks, Ronnie. I appreciate your call, brother, and thank you for sharing your story this morning on WURD. Where were you on September 11th? Sadie from Mount Airy is on line 2. Go ahead, Sadie.
Good morning, Solomon, and your show. I love your show so much.
Thank you.
9/11, I was at a funeral. And then they announced it. I flew to pick my grandson up from school, and from then on, I don't remember anything. I just blanked out. But I just want to say thank you for your service, and I love your show.
Thank you. Thank you so much, and I appreciate...
And I listen every morning because you have my day started.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate you listening, and thank you for sharing your story this morning on WURD. Let's go to Joyce from South Philly on line 3. Go ahead, Joyce.
Good morning, Solomon.
Good morning.
And good morning to the Word audience. Solomon, that morning, my daughter, she wasn't feeling too good, so I took her to the Pennsylvania hospital. And we was in the emergency room, and the TV was on, and I thought I was watching a movie. I'll never forget that. I thought I was watching a movie.
Yeah.
And Solomon, I never knew so many Philadelphians commuted to New York to work.
Oh, yeah.
Never knew. And I'd like to give my condolences to the Jasper family, because I knew him very well. And he was one that worked in that building.
Okay.
And he got killed that day. But I'll say it to you like this: I never knew so many Philadelphians commuted to New York to work.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to thank you so much for your call.
And I'd like to thank you for taking it. Thank you.
You are so welcome. Let's go to Olanian from Nicetown on line 4. Go ahead, Olanian.
Greetings. On September 9th, what year was that?
September 11th.
September 11th, 2009? Was it 2000?
2001.
2001, yes. I was rather homeless. I say rather homeless because sometimes I lived at mom's, sometimes I lived in a place that was a shelter, and sometimes I lived in places that called themselves a shelter. I'm sorry, that didn't call themselves a shelter. And that's when I saw the bombing on the radio. And it was really surprising. Eventually, after my nerves calmed down and I went to school, I was studying at Temple University, I learned that there were other nations who bombed themselves to blame it on someone else. I'm not trying to get people angry at me, but I question, was the United States behind that bombing?
Okay. I want to thank you for your call this morning on WRD. Let's go to Marvin from South Philly on line 1. Go ahead, Marvin.
Hey, good morning, brother. So how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Okay. I just wanted to say that when I worked downtown, and when all that happened, I remember we sitting around and the building hit, and the first building gets get hit, second building gets hit, but then we getting out of it. So we run jump. I'm living up country. We run jump on the train, and what I want to take from all that was that there was the one time, everybody looked up, everybody. We were just all Americans that day.
Yeah.
It was just peace. It was just love. It was just harmony. It was incredible that it took something like that, a disaster to happen, for us to come together and love one another as whatever race, whatever, people looking out for you, people giving each other rides. These are people who never spoke the whole years of catching these trains, never spoke. But for that one day, we were united, we were Americans, we just stood together, and I wish that we could just get back to that and just, it's crazy out here right now.
It is.
And I miss that day. That one day should be forever, though. That's all I want to add to the conversation.
Thank you, Marvin. I appreciate that. And you're right. I remember that. And I want to thank you so much for sharing this morning on WURD. The time is 7:57 a.m. and the temperature is 73 degrees, I think. For the time and temperature, brought to you by the Beach Companies with 30 years of serving our community. Check out the website for the free Black Business Directory and our Community Resources Directory. I'm Solomon Jones. This is WURD. We'll be right back.
Support independent Black media and join the Forward movement now at 215-425-7875.
Or visit wordradio.com.
Need a new mattress? Stop by to see Julian, the Mattress Man, located at 7421 Stenton Avenue. You deal directly with the owner, Julian, to ensure the best prices on name brand mattresses like Sealy, Posturepedic. Call 215-424-5550. That's 215-424-5550.
Enterprise Exterminators, located 4943 Wayne Avenue, specializing in lantern flies, termites, bed bugs, fleas, mice, and roaches. Do-it-yourself kits are available. Call now, 215-849-7070.
During these unprecedented times, we're creating a lot of extra trash, and that means delays across the city with curbside collection. That's why we have some simple tips that will help you to reduce curbside waste and collection delays. Reduce food waste by using garbage disposals or composting, and limit bulk waste to 2 items per household. Set out trash properly. That means using sturdy trash bags and covering containers with lids. Make sure your trash bags are not heavier than 40 pounds. Set out trash no earlier than 7 p.m. before your collection day and 7 a.m. the day of collection. And remember, you can drop off materials at sanitation convenience centers 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Last and most importantly, thank our sanitation workers for their hard work during these challenging times. We all have a role to play to curb our waste and help our city. Learn more at philadelphiastreets.com.
Home of the Happy Hour. With Sincerely Sarita. This is Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia.
Streaming live at wordradio.com and on the Word Radio app.
Now, a traffic update
on Word Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by Staples Store. Southbound 95 jammed up Cotman down through Bridge through construction. Busy again Allegheny through Girard. Northbound no issues. Westbound Vine Expressway or slow from the Ben Franklin Parkway through the Schuylkill Expressway. Schuylkill Expressway eastbound Bluebird through the curve a bit slow. Delays Gladwin to Belmont again from Montgomery through Spring Garden. Westbound 76 not too bad this morning. The Boulevard Route 1 looks good heading into 76. PA Turnpike Bluebird 476 still in pretty good shape. In New Jersey 55 northbound Deptford into 42 a bit slow. Staples helps your business from office essentials to health essentials at amazing prices. This week at 40% back in rewards when you spend $75 on ink or $175 in toner, and 40% back in rewards on all paper. Offer ends 9/12. Exclusions apply. Details at staples.com/40 in rewards. Staples. For more traffic information, log on to sigalert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on Word Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD. Joining us now is our first guest, attorney Rashida Phillips. She's managing attorney for housing policy in the housing unit for community legal services. She joins us to talk about the eviction hearings and lockouts that have been suspended for now, and to see what's going on with them going forward. Ms. Phillips, good morning.
Good morning.
So
Thanks for having me.
you are so welcome. Homelessness, of course, a huge issue in Philadelphia. There are encampments on the Parkway and in North Philly, people really demanding housing, and of course, people also who don't have jobs because of what happened with the coronavirus can't pay their rent. There have been various moratoriums put forth on evictions and lockouts. What's going on with that now? Where are we with evictions as far as court orders and government orders in Philadelphia?
That's a great question. There's been so many moving parts and things moving so quickly and changing so quickly. So the important thing to note is that we had a state moratorium and we had a city moratorium through the Emergency Housing Protections Act that were put in place by City Council. Both of those expired on August 31st. And so after those expired, we then had in place the CDC moratorium that covers, it's a national moratorium that covers everywhere where there's not a stronger moratorium in place. And so because our moratoriums, our city and state moratoriums listed on August 31st, that CDC moratorium is now in place. Mm-hmm. And so that CDC moratorium is somewhat limited in that it applies to people who have fallen behind on rent, and so they're at risk of eviction due to non-payment of rent. But what it requires you to do as a tenant is that you have to sign a declaration. Mm-hmm. And a declaration states a number of different things that you have to certify to, such as that your income is less than $99,000, that you are not able to pay rent due to, income loss and other things that you have to declare. Mm-hmm. And then you have to provide that declaration to your landlord in order for that protection to be in place for you. Mm-hmm. So there's a couple of things that you have to do there in order to get it. It's not something that just automatically applies to everyone. And again, you have to sign that declaration in order for it to be active. So we really are advising people to call us. We have a hotline. It's 267-443-2500. If you have questions about that.
Can you give us that number again, please?
Absolutely. It is 267-443-2500, and that goes to the Philly Tenant Hotline, where you can connect with legal services and the Tenant Union Representative Network, which is a community education organization and organizing network. But you can get advice and information about whether or not that CDC moratorium will apply to you.
I'm curious about the CDC moratorium because the CDC is the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. They usually deal with diseases, right? And so they are now wading into housing. Is that something that they are authorized to do? And is their moratorium being challenged at all? I'm just curious about that.
Well, they have provided authority under federal law that allows them to stop the spread of communicable diseases. And so under that authority to limit that spread, right, they have a sort of broad range of what they can do in order to do that. And so this is what's falling under that authority. So in order to stop the spread of coronavirus, stopping evictions is one way to sort of prevent that or to limit that spread. Will it be challenged? Absolutely. So it will be challenged. And the difficult part about the CDC order, although it is broad and you know, it's better than not having anything, but it leaves it up to each state and each court, right, to interpret it and to apply it.
How's it being interpreted and applied here in Philadelphia?
So in Philadelphia, we have gotten from our state court some guidance, and then that guidance is then applied to the local court. And so locally in Philadelphia, how they are applying that and interpreting it is that they're putting a additional 15-day stay or stopping lockouts for an additional 15 days up until the 23rd, and then giving the writ servers, and writ servers are the people who hand you a piece of paper that says that you're going to be locked out, right? So they're giving the writ servers that declaration form that I talked to you about. So that CDC declaration form, if you're a writ server, you're going to lock somebody out, you have to have that form with you and provide it to that person so that they have an opportunity to fill it out and can stop the eviction, again, if it applies to them. So that's how it's being interpreted here. We have a 15-day sort of window in which to inform people about the CDC moratorium and other protections that are in place before the lockouts begin again. And we're hoping to just push the courts a little further to do screening of landlords before they're able to file cases saying that they did not receive that CDC declaration and that they have not, going through any other program or thing that they need to do, such as the Emergency Housing Protections Act.
Okay, so wait, before you go on, I just want people to get kind of a bottom line because it's a lot of information.
Yes.
So the bottom line is in Philadelphia, there's a moratorium on evictions until the 23rd. Is that correct?
So the bottom line is that CDC order is in place until December 31st. That moratorium is in place. However, you have to qualify for it and you have to sign that declaration. And on top of that, the courts have issued a stay on lockouts until the 23rd. And so during that time period, right, we're trying to get as much notice out to people that you may be able to qualify for the CDC moratorium, as well as there are other protections in place that I can talk about in a moment if you want to hear more about that.
I do, but I don't want people to be confused.
Yeah.
So
it's confusing.
Okay, so September 23rd, there's a moratorium until September 23rd on lockouts.
Yeah.
And that's based on the city.
That is based on the courts putting that moratorium in place in order to allow the CDC order, news and information to spread about that so that people can take advantage of that if they qualify.
And that is
only on lockouts until the 23rd through the Philadelphia court.
Got it. And then the CDC moratorium goes until December 31st, and that is something that you have to fill out a declaration for, and they would call you to get more information about that.
Yep,
absolutely. Got it. Okay. So what other protections are in place?
So the other thing that people should know about is that City Council put into place the Emergency Housing Protections Act. That is a 4-part piece of legislation that was passed. One of those parts has already expired, which is the eviction moratorium that I said was local and went until August 31st. City Council is looking to extend that moratorium, so would advise folks to call in the City Council. Your City Council members, tell them that you want to see that happen. If we get that moratorium extended, it will be more protective than the CDC moratorium. So we do want to see that happen. Mm-hmm. The other part of that Emergency Housing Protections Act that people should know about is that it comes with a payment agreement as well as a opportunity to go through a diversion program and do a mediation with your landlord. So landlords have to provide you with a notice of right, which they can find on a Fair Housing Commission's website. And with that notice of right, there's also a certification form that you can fill out saying you have a COVID-related hardship. So it's very similar to the CDC declaration, but it says a little bit different things. But you basically have to certify that you have a COVID-related hardship, fell behind on rent, got sick, taking care of a family member who has gotten sick, etc. Once you fill that out, you can then either enter into a payment agreement, a 9-month-long payment agreement to pay back any back rent, as well as go through a eviction diversion where you can have a mediation with your landlord if necessary. All of that must happen before the landlord is able to file in court against you.
What protections are there for landlords who are experiencing a COVID-related hardship? Suppose the landlord owns this property, but they've lost their job because of COVID. Like, what protections are in place for them, since, you know, they might not get their rent?
Absolutely. There's a couple of different assistance programs out there for homeowners as well. Some of those landlords may not be able to take advantage of if they don't live in the property. So if it's not an owner-occupied property, they may not be able to take advantage of some of those home ownership programs. However, there are other things out there for landlords. You know, part of the point of having a diversion program and a mediation program is so that smaller landlords can take advantage of being able to get into a payment agreement where they're at least able to recoup some of that rent, right, on a reasonable payment schedule that the tenant can afford. And just, you know, understanding that going through an eviction process is costly. It is difficult. It is, you know, potentially dangerous if you're, you know, turning over a unit and bringing in someone who's unknown and may possibly be spreading the disease, right? So we want tenants to be able to stay into their homes, and we want landlords to be able to get paid so that they can make repairs that are necessary for tenants to be able to live, you know, in a safe and healthy property.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, you know, I can't speak to all of the things that are out there. You know, there are mortgage relief programs. Again, folks may be eligible for other forms of assistance or unemployment assistance if their main source of income is their investment property. But otherwise, you know, I'm not too familiar with all of the things that are out there for landlords.
Okay, so who would be familiar with it?
So you can contact HAPCO, which is the Homeowners Association, and they do have some supports for smaller landlords. They're an association of landlords and landlord attorneys. So they may have some information for homeowners as well. Mm-hmm. And again, you know, there's the PHFA, the Pennsylvania Housing Finance Agency, will have information about things like rental assistance and mortgage assistance as well. And I would say, you know, there is still rental assistance available for tenants and landlords. That program is up until September 30th. You can apply for it. And if people are able to get that, landlords can get up to $4,500 towards rent payments if they work with their tenants to apply for that rental assistance. So that's another thing for folks to look into. Mm-hmm. And you can go on, there's a website called phlrentassist.org/phase2. And again, that will have the information about the statewide rental assistance mm-hmm. program. And if people qualify, they can get up to $750 per month for up to 6 months, and, you know, be able to recoup some of that payment.
Mm-hmm. So what's the number that tenants can call to reach you? Give us that number one more time.
So that number is 267-443-2500. And you can also go on phillytenant.org, and you can find lots of information, up-to-date information about the CDC moratorium, the Emergency Housing Protections Act, everything that you need there.
All right. All right. Well, I want to thank you so much for joining us this morning. And that's attorney Rashida Phillips. She's managing attorney for housing policy in the housing unit for community legal services. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, you too. So we're going to take your calls, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That's the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let us know where you are on these various things we're talking about on this morning's show, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. Of course, people also weighing in on Facebook. The big question today, where were you on September 11th? 215-634-8065. And, of course, weighing in on Facebook at 4WURD. That's FORWURD, FORWURD. Kawesa, what are they saying this morning on Facebook?
So we do have quite a few comments here. Tracy Hambo Facalujo says, on 9/11/2001, I was at work, and all of us there were in shock and couldn't do any work, and we had to be very cautious with leaving because no one knew what to do but call our families and make sure everyone was safe. Diane Gray, I was at work upon hearing the devastating news. I left work and went home to help ease my mother's fears. Iris Brunson, good morning. I was at work and a coworker heard it on the radio. We all assumed it was an accident. Then we gathered around a coworker's portable TV and thought the second plane hit was a replay. We got dismissed, and by the time I got home, the building started collapsing. I'll never forget the coverage into the night as family members were at the site hoping their loved ones survived and would be rescued. So that's another couple of comments. And then Coy C. Vickers Jr. says, I was cooking breakfast at my home in Overbrook at the time. I had the Today Show on, but I was listening, not watching it. And when I heard it, I thought it was a small plane, not a jet. And then lastly, Patrick Duff says, I was working at FC Kerbeck, and Frank decided that we would not close. I was the only one at the dealership to sell a car that day. So those are just a few comments that we have on our Facebook page.
Wow. Wow. 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. Where were you on September 11th? I think it's a day that if you live through it, you will never forget it. It was a deep day. It was a scary day because, you know, there was, of course, the moment when you saw the second plane hit, and that's when everybody knew. Nobody had to say anything. That's when everybody knew this is an attack. This is not an accident. The first one, it's like, wow, how did he miss the building? What happened? How did that plane hit a building? When you saw the second one, you knew it was an attack. And then there was the Pentagon, and then there was the other plane that went down in Pennsylvania. And so, you know, there's just so much to that day. Where were you on September 11th? Give us a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. Let's go to Miss Hattie from West Philly on line 1. Go ahead, Miss Hattie.
Hi, Solomon. You know, I had just walked into my office, and my coworkers were howling about a plane crash into the Twin Towers building. And I told them to just stop playing. This is not April Fool's Day. April Fool's going away. And they told me to just turn on the TV. I had a TV in my office. And you'll see, when I turned the TV on, the second plane, it just smashed into the second building.
Yeah.
And I just slumped down in my seat in disbelief. I mean, I was watching, I was in horror, really. And just disbelief. And it was just so traumatizing that I don't think any of us moved for a very long time. And it was just so not understanding just what's going on. So that's my little story. And I just wanted to also talk to you about the guns.
Yes.
No, excuse me. I used to ask the young guys that came into my office to, instead of using guns to settle your differences, that seems like you're punking out, you know, just use your fist. You know, at least you both will live to see another day. And every one of them, every one of those young men, you know, just like a broken record, they would say, I'm not going down that way, quote, unquote. You know, as if to say, if I get whipped, then I look like a punk with the other dudes. And so this is what they believe. And then one guy came in my office and he said, Miss Northern, don't worry about me because I'm not going to be here another week. And I talked to him, and we talked for a long time, and he looked at me. He said, I'm serious. And Solomon, his mother called me before the week was out and told me that young man was shot in the head. I was done. I mean, I was warped. I was just done. So it's just the way they think. They really don't think they're going to live to see another day. So they're doing whatever they think that they're supposed to do to make them look like, I guess, like the man. I guess that's the way they see it. And it's just so sorrowful. And I just don't know what to do about it. I don't know what we're going to do about it.
I think we gotta reach the ones that want to do something different. And sometimes you can convince people to do something different, but when you can't,
Lord knows I tried.
you know what I mean? When you can't, because and people get upset, you know, when you say this truth, but you really can't help someone who does not want to be helped. It's not something you can do. They have to want it, and so you know, there are those who can be convinced, but then there are those who can't, and so you have to really focus on those that you can help, man, and just, you know, I guess pray about the rest.
And that's the truth. And when they call you back months and years later, it says, "Oh, Miss Northern," or Mr. So-and-so, or whomever, that, you know, I didn't listen to you then.
Yep.
But I listen to you now, and I'm doing very well. And it just did my heart so much good.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So you're right. You help those that you can, and the ones you can, you just gotta let go.
I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD. We're going to go to break. On the other side, we're going to talk with Akbar Hassan, because it's Friday. Some of y'all getting paid. I'm tired of you messing up your paycheck. Akbar Hassan on your money. On the other side, I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
Weather and traffic to keep you informed for your drive home.
In the happy hour
With Sincerely Sarita.
Monday through Thursday, 4 till 7 p.m.
Right here
on Word Radio, 96.1 FM.
and 900 AM WURD.
How do we make sense of our nation's history with race, privilege, and inequality? On Thursday, September 24th at 6 p.m., join Pulitzer Prize-winning author and Harvard University historian Annette Gordon-Reed as she discusses the challenges of wrestling with America's complicated past. This free virtual event is part of the Museum of the American Revolution's Carl M. Buchholz lecture series. Tickets are free, but registration is required at amrevmuseum.org or by calling 215-253-6731.
WordRadio.com.
Come on down to Angry Deacon Ribs, located at 1019 Spring Garden Street. Without question, they have the best pork and beef ribs in Philly. Lightly smoked, full of flavor, and always tender. The bangin' brisket, pulled pork, wings, macaroni and cheese, and collard greens will have you coming back for more. Open Wednesday through Sunday with curbside pickup or delivery through Uber Eats. Give them a call at 215-769-RIBS. Come get some.
This is not a fad for us.
We will not resume our regular programming when things die down. We're not black to help our bottom line or because it's politically correct. We're not joining a fight. This has been our fight, our message, our people. Black lives have always mattered here. We are
undeniably,
indefatigably, unapologetically, permanently Black Talk Media.
WURD.
Now, a traffic update
on Word Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by Staples Store. Southbound 95. You're jammed up Cotman down through Bridge through construction delays again. Allegheny through Girard. Northbound not bad this morning. Westbound Vine Expressway busy from the Parkway through the Schuylkill Expressway. Schuylkill westbound slow city out to Belmont. Eastbound from the Boulevard to Spring Garden a slow ride. The Boulevard Route 1 southbound no problems there into 76. Turnpike and the Blue Ridge still look pretty good. 55 northbound delays there continue north of Deptford into 42. Staples helps your business from office essentials to health essentials at amazing prices. This week at 40% back in rewards when you spend $75 on ink or $175 on toner, and 40% back in rewards on all paper. Offer ends 9/12. Exclusions apply. Details at staples.com/40 and rewards. Staples. For more traffic information, log on to sigalert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones.
Good morning.
Right now on Word Radio,
96.1 FM.
and 900 AM WURD.
Don't do it. There's other ways to celebrate your anniversary other than going in debt. The fact that it's credit card debt tells me it's not any debt that was, needed. Past performance is not indicative of future results. So with that qualifier, don't walk, run.
And now, Akbar Hassan, only on Wake Up with Word.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD, and I want to welcome you back to Wake Up with Word. Joining us now, Akbar Hassan. He's a personal financial advisor, counseling individuals and small businesses. He has 3 decades of corporate finance experience in 2 of the world's largest law firms. He unwraps the mystery of money, offering practical, insightful, and easy-to-understand guidance. Akbar, good morning.
Good morning, Solomon. How are you?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I am doing great. I'm doing great.
That's good.
Doing wonderful.
That's good. So, we want to talk about 9/11.
9/11. I remember exactly where I was. I was actually working near the top of Liberty Place.
Wow.
Of all places. Yeah. And, of course, the first plane hit. We had someone who had like a small TV on their desk, and so we saw the aftermath of the first plane hit, and then the second plane hit, and everybody looked at each other. Management was running around trying to figure out what to do, and I hear secondhand that there was like some debate until someone finally said, "Dude, there are planes hitting buildings." It got down to that point, and it's like, "That's everybody. We got to get out of here." But I left, and I actually had to drive a coworker who lived. She took Amtrak in every day from New York, not actually New York, but from outside of New York. So I had to drive her home.
Wow.
Because the Amtrak was down. But it was a very you could see the fear in everyone's eyes. Leaving downtown and just walking down the street, and everybody was talking to each other through their eyes. It was it's a day you'll never forget. I won't forget it.
Yeah, I know I won't either. And it's funny because, everybody was thinking about tall buildings after that. Like, do you want to go into a tall building because you don't know if this is going to happen again?
Yeah. I actually forget how long we were out of the building, how many days. I think maybe just a day or two. But, it was a very scary moment. Then you look back and say, wow, Liberty Place. Wow. If you look back because they hit, Washington and out in Pennsylvania. And so, didn't know whether or not Philadelphia was on the radar being, the Philadelphia, the birth of the nation. So
that's right.
I'm glad it's behind us. So hopefully we learn from it and move forward. And one day the world will be a better place.
Yeah, we look forward to that day. So one way to make it better is to make sure you get your money right. So
Absolutely.
What is our question from our listener this week?
So our question today is, what's going on with Social Security? I'm 58 and was planning on taking it at 67 or later. Now I hear it may run out in 3 to 10 years. Should I take it earlier so I'm locked in, or does it matter? Wow, that's a very good question. Very relevant, too, because that's all we hear. That's part of the campaign issue this year is about Social Security, how it may run out. And even before the campaign started, there's been rumors that it may run out in about 10 years or less. And the fact is that if nothing's done, it may run out. But a little backstory. So Social Security started in 1935. Franklin Roosevelt signed into law. And for a lot of people, it's their lifeline. It's a lifeline out of poverty. And in subsequent years after it was signed, disability and Medicare was added on to the package. But like I said, people depend on that. But how is it funded? What's the mystery? It's very simple. All workers currently pay 15.3% up to $137,000 roughly out of their pay. So if you make above that, anything above $137,000 or $137,700 is not taxed for Social Security. All right. So far, so good, right? And just to put things in context, the maximum amount for last year was $132,900, and for 2018 was $128,400, I think. So every year it goes up. The amount that is taxed goes up every year. Cost of living. All right. So and then they add to that any interest. So 90% comes from the contributions, and another roughly 10% comes from interest that's sitting in the account. All right.
Okay.
All that goes into a big pot, and out of that pot goes out people when they file Social Security. All right. you do not have a separate account with the Social Security Administration. So when you make your contribution, it does not go into a pot with your name, all right? It goes into one big general pot, one big general pot of soup, all right? So when people get to retirement age, when they're ready to claim, whether they're 62, 67, or 70, or whatever, they dip into the pot. So far, so good, right? But why is the projections going down? Why are there projections saying that, it's going to run out? Very simply, life expectancy is one, all right? When this was created in 1935, life expectancy was much lower. People died at 65, So, let's have Social Security start at 65 because people are going to die at 67 in 1935 because of drugs, right? We have drugs that are still in our lives. We have drugs for diabetes. We have drugs for heart problems. We have drugs for a lot of other ailments. So now people live longer, right? So now people live longer. It's a drain on the system. So something good actually makes something bad someplace else, okay? Baby boomers, all right? Remember the big baby boomer bunch? All right? They're all retiring now, all right? And they're living longer. Go back to number A, all right? So now they're draining the pot, okay? And thirdly, there are people who are not working, a lot of people not working. This year, Social Security became a focus point because remember COVID, everybody was unemployed?
Yeah.
All right? That's a whole bunch of people not being able to contribute into Social Security. Every time there's a recession or a lot of people not working, you still have people drawing from the pot, but you have no one contributing. Okay. So and so you have all these unemployed people not contributing in the pot. So that's a drain on the system. All right. So what should be done? What can be done? I've always said the fix is very simple, but everyone has to agree on it. One fix is raise the ceiling. Right now, the ceiling is 130, 139, right? 137.7, right? Is a ceiling. Raise the ceiling higher. All right. Raise it to 200,000, or make high earners pay more. Okay, because think about it. If I make $1 million a year, right? My Social Security that I pay into the system is capped at 137, right? So everything I make above 137, I don't pay Social Security taxes on. I still will receive it, and to me, since I'm a millionaire, I would venture to say that the Social Security that I will receive is pennies compared to the money that I have in my investment accounts. All right, so why not contribute more? So one idea is just have high earners contribute more, or just raise the cap a little more. Another way is to raise Social Security taxes. All right, that's not a popular.
No, it's not.
It's not. It's not a popular choice, but it is you gotta listen. I saw everything on the blackboard and see what sticks. Raise taxes. It's not a popular choice, but it is a choice. Another unpopular choice is to reduce the amount of payments. All right. So instead of you getting your full amount that you have calculated, if you go into the Social Security website, it'll tell you what your future Social Security payments will be. Imagine that reduced to 80% of that, or even 70% of that. All right, that's one way of doing it. Okay, or do the same for new retirees. That's one way. So it seems like the best way, if I was doing it, I would try to get high earners, or just raise the ceiling of how much we pay. Okay, so if you're making $70,000 or $80,000 a year, it's not going to affect you. It's only going to affect the people that's making, $150,000, $200,000 and up, So that's what I would do. So as far as taking the money, should you take it earlier? Should there be a run on the market? No, do not run on the market of Social Security. I would stick to the basic reasons that you would claim Social Security earlier. And one of the reasons is if you're planning end of life care. All right, if you have a medical problem and you're saying, okay, you know what, I'm not going to live to 70 or whatever. I want to take this money out and enjoy it now. Okay, that's one of the reasons to do that. If you need to pay down debt, okay, because if you're retired, right, and you're paying off debt, you're not really enjoying yourself. Okay, so one option is to say, okay, let me take my Social Security, use that money to pay off that debt, and that way, once that debt is paid off, I can enjoy my Social Security, that Social Security money now, as opposed to just having that debt sitting there and you using your retirement money to pay it off. All right. If you're not working, obviously, then you got to take Social Security. But those are the three major reasons to take it. Do not run on the market for Social Security. I am hopeful it will be figured out, before it runs into trouble. But, the fire alarm has been rung once, twice, but I think there'll be a bigger alarm as time goes on. But, don't run into the market. Plan your retirement as normal. If you're going to do it at 62, do it at 62 for whatever reason. If you're going to do it at 67, do it. And, of course, you get the maximum benefit if you wait until 70, so long as Congress makes predicted changes.
All right. Akbar, how do people reach you?
I am at email at akbar-hassan@comcast.net and at Twitter at AK-HassanReal.
Okay. All right. That is Akbar Hassan. Akbar Hassan, of course, is a veteran financial advisor. He makes money simple. And so you can reach him at those addresses and ask your questions. Akbar, thanks so much.
Thank you, Solomon.
All right. You take care. Personal financial advisor counseling individuals and small businesses. He has 3 decades of corporate finance experience in 2 of the world's largest law firms. He unwraps the mystery of money, offering practical, insightful, and easy to understand guidance. We got a couple minutes, so we can take your calls at 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That's the number. You can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. You can, of course, also reach us on Facebook at ForWord. That's FORWURD, FORWURD. And let us know where you are and those various things we're talking about on this morning's show. Let's see what people are saying this morning on Facebook. Kawesa, what are they talking about?
So we have a couple folks weighing in. Good morning to Deborah Dorn Carter. Also, good morning to Diane Gray. We have Natasha Nettles chiming in as well. Patrick Duff is saying, angry deacon is the truth. And he isn't very angry either. Natasha Nettles says, yes, I'm glad I didn't miss Brother Akbar. I look forward to his financial advice. Lord knows I need it. So also, good morning to Mish Pugh and Idris Abdul Ali. Thank you so much for tuning in and checking us out here on Facebook. I'm trying to just pull up a couple other comments here. Let me see. Ed Minner says, in regards to 9/11, he was at work near the airport and remembers no planes in the sky and how quiet it was. Natasha Nettles is saying, good morning, Word fam. Good morning, Kawesa. Good morning, Solomon. Peace and blessings, everyone. Happy Friday. So that's another comment that we have here as well. Good morning to Cheryl Brown as well. Thank you so much for chiming in. And Gail Robinson, good morning to you also. So yeah, a couple of comments here that I'm just trying to flash through really quickly. Cheryl Vaughn Curry, good morning to you also. Julie Taylor, thanks so much for tuning in also. So those are just a few folks kind of weighing in and checking us out.
All right. So we're going to go to the phone lines, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. Philip from West Philly is on line 2. Go ahead, Philip.
Good morning, Solomon. How you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Yes, when 9/11 happened 19 years ago, yes, I remember I was at work. In fact, I had just started working for the city of Philadelphia, who I still work for today.
Mm-hmm.
But I was in a different department. Then I was in the Department of Public Health, and I worked out from an office up in North Philly. Mm-hmm. And I remember I was in my office, doing work on the computer, and I had the radio on. And at that time, the radio station I was listening to, they had news breaks in between different song sets in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
So when the first news break came on, they had first said it was a fire at the World Trade Center, and it was burning out of control.
Yeah.
So at first, I thought maybe it was just a bad, tragic accident or something, and I remember saying to myself, oh, no, I hope and pray that nobody doesn't get seriously hurt or get killed.
Yeah.
But then 20 minutes later, another news break came on that same radio station, and then they said that 2 airplanes had crashed into the World Trade Center.
Mm-hmm.
So when I heard that, then I knew, oh, no, this is just more than just a tragic accident.
Yeah.
Kind of like it was a terrorist attack to me. Then they said that, George Bush, who was the president at the time, confirmed it as a terrorist attack. And I remember, you know, me and many of our coworkers, we were watching the television in the lounge. That some people had some portable TVs where they was watching, and you know, it was just unbelievable. And unfortunately, will forget 9/11 because 9/11 happens to be my mother's birthday.
All right, Philip. Well, I want to thank you so much for sharing that this morning on WURD. If you want to get in, it's 215-634-8065. We're going to go to break. And on the other side, it's What's Trending right here on WURD.
Get your money straight.
Get my money right.
With Solomon Jones and Akbar Hassan.
Fridays on Wake Up with Word.
7 a.m. till 10 a.m. Hosted by Solomon Jones. Exclusively on Word Radio. 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Streaming live on wordradio.com and on the Word Radio app.
Family Therapy Vignette Moments with Dr. Lucille Ijoy. A couple wants to get married during this pandemic time. They've had spiritual counseling, guidance from their families, and they feel ready. Well, the therapist says, just be wise about your health and the health of your family and your guests, and take it step by step.
During these unprecedented times, we're creating a lot of extra trash, and that means delays across the city with curbside collection. That's why we have some simple tips that will help you to reduce curbside waste and collection delays. Reduce food waste by using garbage disposals or composting, and limit bulk waste to 2 items per household. Set out trash properly. That means using sturdy trash bags and covering containers with lids. Make sure your trash bags are not heavier than 40 pounds. Set out trash no earlier than 7 p.m. before your collection day and 7 a.m. the day of collection. And remember, you can drop off materials at sanitation convenience centers 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Last and most importantly, thank our sanitation workers for their hard work during these challenging times. We all have a role to play to curb our waste and help our city. Learn more at philadelphiastreets.com.
You're waking up
with Word.
Hosted by Solomon Jones.
Good morning.
Right now on Word Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD. Circuits are busy. Here's what's trending.
Yo, that's crazy.
On Wake Up with Word.
Halle Berry became the first black woman to win an Academy Award for Best Actress. But however, Berry said that in the nearly 20 years since her win, she's felt more disappointment than pride. No woman of color has been awarded Best Actress at the Oscars since. Berry also notes that with the lack of progress in the category, she's conflicted about what her own win means in the grand scheme of things.
And the original Aunt Viv is back on Thursday, the 30th anniversary of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air's premiere. Will Smith shared photos from the sitcom's upcoming reunion, which just began filming, and in a pleasant surprise, Smith revealed that he sat down with Janet Hubert, the actress who originated the role of Will's Aunt Viv, on the show for the first time in 27 years.
And Versus will feature its two most iconic artists yet when Gladys Knight and Patti LaBelle square off on Sunday, September 13th, simultaneously via the Versus Instagram Live at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The legends will be on stage together at the Philadelphia venue, the Fillmore. And that is what's trending.
All right, that's what's trending right here on WURD Radio. If you want to get in the conversation, you can certainly give us a call. 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in. You can also hit us on Facebook at ForWord. That's FORWURD, FORWURD. That's how you can get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. So we're talking about a number of things. But before we go on, I got to give a shout out to the original Aunt Viv, dark-skinned Aunt Viv. Got to be honest about that. She's the real Aunt Viv. The other sister, she did her best. But the real Aunt Viv, yeah, it's the first one. But, they had some beef on the set or whatever happened. But I'm glad that they kind of squashed that and were able to have a conversation. I don't know, Kawesa. Is it me or is the original Aunt Viv the only Aunt Viv?
Yeah, and that's no shade to, the other Aunt Viv, because she has some cred too.
Yes, she does.
She really does, and so I don't want to throw any shade, but there was something about OG Aunt Viv that really did it for you. She had all the perfect sass. She had all the perfect everything. Like when you looked at her, you were like, oh yeah, she's a sister. She black. She ain't gonna take no mess from nobody. And I loved that about her. My favorite episode was when she was dancing and she showed out them.
Didn't she?
I love that episode.
That's the same one I'm thinking about. I mean, she killed it. She killed it.
Killed it.
You know what I mean? With a T.
With a kilt.
That's the original Aunt Viv, man. You can't replace Aunt Viv. I know she had an attitude like in real life, like for real. But you gotta figure that out. So I'm glad they squashed that. I'm glad that she was there for the reunion and everything else because she was iconic. I just got to be honest. I want to hear from you. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. We're talking about a number of things this morning. Of course, your president lying about the coronavirus, man, and telling Bob Woodward in a series of 18 interviews, like, yeah, I know it's airborne. Yeah, I know it's more deadly than your most strenuous flu. But I'm downplaying it because I don't want people to panic. Meanwhile, you trying to panic people about Mexicans coming over the border and they criminals and rapists and they coming to kill you and your kids and your wife, and trying to panic people about the cities are burning down and we need to send in law enforcement before they kill all of us. And, you want to panic people about racist stuff. But you claim that you didn't tell the people the truth about a virus because you didn't want people to panic when your whole presidency has been about panic? Come on, bruh. Stop it. So we're talking about that. But we're also talking about 9/11 because this is the 19th anniversary of 9/11, and all of us remember where we were on September 11th. I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. Where were you on September 11th? I'm going to go to the phone lines. Lamar from Camden is on line one. Go ahead, Lamar.
Good morning, Solomon.
Good morning, brother.
19 years ago, I was working at my state job, and when the towers hit, what I heard was not just grief, but I heard from my coworkers say some of the racist things that I had ever seen in response to seeing things from Dot Head to something else. And I had to intervene and say, remember Timothy McVeigh in Oklahoma? You thought it was some Muslim terrorist. Before I knew all the facts. But it was just shocking to see some of my coworkers, Caucasian coworkers who I, had lunch with, to say some of the things they just automatically went to. That was just a shocking and, shape of what people say, what have you. In regards to Trump, I've long since forgot about who he is as a person, because we know who he is, as a person. My concern is those patriots, those Christians, those people that were, especially, Pence, but to no end, just sit there and say that you lie with a straight face. It's like, is a check that much worth for you that almost 190,000 lives are dead, and for a check, for him to even say that it was Bob Woodward's responsibility to tell the world, because he already had the comment.
I know. Unbelievable.
I ask those people what makes him so strong if he always blames somebody else when things go wrong. It's nothing about this man that speaks of the strength, the I don't take no mess, all the whatever rhetoric they want to sit there and say. I lost a supervisor. I lost a dear friend to this mess. And this man, I don't even call him a man because I can't say it on the radio, had the nerve to been lying all the time, and he knew about it. It just angers me. And somebody needs to go to jail. Somebody needs to go to jail for just this horrible betrayal of the American trust, just for your own selfishness and your vainness. So Solomon, I put it on everybody other than Trump that support him. I'm done talking about him. Let's start talking about those Ted Cruz's, those Cotton, everybody else who supports this man and has said nothing about it. That's all I got to say.
All right. I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD Radio. We're talking about a number of things, including the excuse that has now come out from the Trump administration that, well, it's Bob Woodward's fault, because if he thought that what Trump said was so bad about knowing about the virus and then telling the American public something completely different, if Bob Woodward thought it was so bad, he could have gone to the authorities. I couldn't do nothing but laugh. Dude, you are the authorities. You the president. You know what I mean? You the head authority in charge. Like, what do you mean? Who are you going to go to tell about you? Like, what? Oh, man. Look, I want to know what you think. I mean, it is so unbelievable, man, that this dude never takes any responsibility for anything that he does. And it's 190,000 people dead. You should have told the truth months ago when 190,000 people were dying to hear it. I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. Of course, we're also asking, where were you on September 11th? Give us a call, 215-634-8065. Mike from North Philly's online too. Go ahead, Mike.
Good morning, Solomon. How you doing, good brother?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Listen, I got 4 really quick things.
Okay.
Number one is the Chiefs fans really showed their true color, didn't they?
They did. They did. We talked about that at the top of the show. They booed, man. They booed because they stood together, in a line and linked arms. They booed. Yeah.
We won you a Super Bowl for the first time in 50 years, and that's how you treat us?
Yep.
Unbelievable. Number 2 is my 911 memory, the indelible mark in my mind is people having to choose whether to burn to death or jump to their death. And I was like shocked. I couldn't believe it. I was sitting on the end of my bed. I could not believe it. When that second plane hit, I said, that's something else.
Yeah.
Shame. Number 3 is I'm team dark-skin on Ziv all the way.
I know that's right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Truth. And the last thing is your opinion. Patty or Gladys? I'm going with Patty and give her the home field advantage on this one.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm always going with Philly, bro.
Yeah. Ain't no joke, though, but Patty got this. Thanks for taking my call.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for your call this morning on WRD. I forgot they're doing the verses. Patti LaBelle versus Gladys Knight. And, I love Gladys. You know what I mean? The Pips, they cool, her cousins. But, Patty is from, you got to give it to Team Philly. What do you think, Kawesa?
it's so hard for me to because I love them both.
Yeah,
I
me
really,
too.
really do. I think that for, entertainment purposes and who's going to like really kind of give the best show, I got to give it to Auntie Patty. Like I do. But, there is something so just warm with Gladys's like,
Very
oh my
true.
goodness.
Very
Like,
true.
when you hear Gladys Knight's voice, it's like, you're coming home to a warm hug and some like milk and cookies on the counter. She stays in the pocket, and the pocket is just so beautiful and vast. And so, I think that both of them just have so much, they have so much of a legacy. And so I just want to be there to like, observe it and be a part of, history. Like, it's a really beautiful thing. So I'm going to, if we're talking about, from a versus standpoint and who had, I guess, more quote bangers, then we gotta give it to Auntie Patty. We do, cause, we have to, but I have to give props to Gladys Knight because her voice is it's like butter. It's just like so smooth.
It is. Midnight Train to Georgia.
Yeah.
I mean, that is one of the greatest songs of all time.
It is. Right?
But while Gladys is milk and cookies, Patty is sweet potato pie. I mean, literally. So, yeah. So I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. We're going to go back to the phone lines. Go to Reverend Carr from East Parkside on line 3. Go ahead.
Brother Jones, my friend, good morning.
Good morning.
9/11, 19 years ago, I was in Negril, Jamaica. I was on vacation. I was stressed out from a job, so I took a week off. My late sister-in-law was terminally ill, and I didn't know that she was that bad because I would not have gone. But I was on my way to breakfast, and the guys, the workers at the resort, were saying to me, "Did you see what happened? Did you know that the planes?" And I was like, "No, I didn't know. I'm on my way to breakfast," because I thought it was a joke. And then I went back to my home, and then I saw it again, and I was like, "Are you serious?" We're living in what we call we're in the middle right now, and the reason why I say we're in the middle is because we have a maniac in the White House, and we need to stop promoting him. We really, when we call his name every day since he's been in office, we gotta really take a break from that, simply because he is so dangerous. There is nothing that can stop him but us, and we have to come together and just talk from now until the election day, just to vote, because the stuff that he does is unbelievable, and it's just acceptable. And one of the things I would share again with the Patti LaBelle versus Gladys Knight. I'm a musician. You got to go with a singer. Patti LaBelle screams and hollers and stuff like that, and some people love theatrics, almost like you're a church singer. You know what I'm saying, Brother Jones?
Yeah, I do.
You got some church singers. I got a cousin like Patty. Okay, I ain't gonna call her name out, but she reminds me of Patty. She gonna run up and down the aisle. And now, and then you have some that'll stand right there and just blow you away. They'll blow you away. So I gotta go with a singer, because I was at the Dell one time, and I'll make this real quick. Peebo Bryson was in town, and the lady that sung "Killing Me Softly," what's her name again, Solomon?
Killing Me Softly? I don't remember. Was it Roberta Flack? Was it Roberta Flack? Yeah. I know the song. I just don't remember who sang it.
Anyway, she has a smooth voice. And the thing is,
yeah, Roberta Flack.
Peebo Bryson was there.
Yeah.
And she said, "New Jersey." And now, when we were in Philadelphia, and the people started booing.
Yeah, as rightfully so.
Living in, Joe, let's get away from Trump.
I see. I'm gonna tell you something, but I want to thank you for your call, but I disagree with you about not calling Donald Trump's name. The people need to know why they are voting, because you had too many people out here saying that Joe Biden is the same as Donald Trump. I disagree with that. It's not true, right? And the people need to know. The people need to know, and it's my job to let them know what is going on, what people are doing, what is happening in the White House. If I stop talking about what this man is doing, then people will forget. People forget very quickly because we got so much going on in our lives. And we need to make sure that people know that's not promoting, that is revealing. And there's a big difference between the two. We're going to go to break. On the other side, we're going to continue the show right here on WURD.
Be heard. Want another way to join the conversation?
Follow us on social media
using the hashtag onWURD.
Be heard.
Stay connected to Word Radio.
Independent Black Media.
Listen to Laborers Live.
We created the weekend. We created the 40-hour work week. We just want enough to feed our family, be able to send our children to college, and let our next generation do better than we did.
To people that might have forgot how important unionism is in the country like the United States. People now infringing on our 8-hour workday, trying to work people more than 8 hours without overtime, trying to work people without benefits. In the long run, everybody's getting a fat paycheck except the worker. So this is really a wake-up call for America.
The struggle is continuous. Tune in to Laborers Live every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. Sponsored by LESIT, the Laborers Employers Cooperation Education Trust of the Laborers District Council of Philadelphia and vicinity.
Local 332, Sam Staton Jr. Business Manager. Local 57, Esteban Vera Business Manager. Local 135, Dan Woodall Jr. Business Manager. Local 413, James Harper Jr. Business Manager. The Laborers District Council, Ryan Boyer Business Manager, and Tony Staton, Executive Director of LESIT.
Tune in Saturdays from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. to hear Empire Capital and Consulting founder Mark Palmer's show titled Black Money, Black Power. This show centers around black money and how black power is derived from money. Tune in every Saturday from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Black Money, Black Power, hosted by Mark Palmer.
This is Councilmember Catherine Gilmore Richardson. We need every Philadelphian to be counted in the 2020 census to get the funding we need to recover from the challenges of COVID-19. The census brings funding to Philly for education, healthcare, food support, public safety, and more. For every person who isn't counted, Philly loses $21,000 in funds over the next decade. You have until September 30th to get counted. Go to 2020census.gov or call 1-844-330-2020. Don't delay. Get counted, Philly.
This is Word Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD Philadelphia.
Black Talk Media.
It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on Word Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD. I want to welcome you back to Wake Up with Word. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. We're talking about a number of things, including the coronavirus controversy revealed by the tapes that have been released by Bob Woodward, the journalist who is writing his second book on the Trump administration. Those tapes revealed that the president knew and acknowledged that the novel coronavirus was deadly. Much deadlier than the most strenuous flu. He knew that it was airborne. He knew that it was very dangerous, and he told Bob Woodward, like, look, you know, I know this, but I want to downplay it. I'm going to downplay it because I don't want people to panic. 190,000 people are dead. That's criminal. And we have to share that. People have to know that. People have to understand the extent of what is going on in this country and who is to blame. People have to understand that. People have to know that because if they don't, and if I don't tell them that, then I'm not doing my job. And so we're talking about that, but we're also talking about 9/11. We're talking about where you were on September 11, 2001. I think most of us will never forget that day, where we were, what we were doing. It was that traumatic. And so I want to hear from you. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. Wes from Mount Airy is on line 1. Go ahead, Wes.
Good morning, Solomon. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm good. The thing with Trump and the coronavirus, it just pretty much, for me, just reaffirms everything, where when it comes to politicians, there's a separate law and a separate standard that's going to be held. I mean, I don't see Trump going to jail. I mean, because if you can't have a governor that poisoned his own constituents in Michigan not to go to jail, or a congressman who did insider trading because her husband worked for the a body that is a part of I forget which one it is, but the lady in Georgia who owned the WNBA team. When you have those situations, Trump, nothing's going to happen to Trump. But for me, nobody comes out clean in this situation, because you had a gentleman who had this information and sat on it for a book, and just sat there press conference after press conference while Trump sat there downplaying and he's sitting on it. I'm not going to sit there and question his ethics. That's totally up to him. But it's like you have people that are dead off of this. You think about it. The mask, the politicization of the mask came off of this. If it would have came out earlier that he sat there and took this seriously, I don't really think we'd have been in a situation where you had people saying, "I'm not going to wear a mask because you're a Democrat."
See, I don't
taking my liberties away.
I don't think so, because think about Donald Trump's followers. I mean, his hardcore followers who are following him because, they like the racism or whatever their reasoning might be. They don't believe anything that he doesn't say. If somebody says something that is opposite of what Donald Trump says, they don't believe it. They do not believe it, and it's been proven time and time again. And so I think we would still be in a situation, because Bob Woodward could come out with the tapes. Remember, we had tapes of Donald Trump saying, "I grab women by the private parts. I can do that because I'm a celebrity." They elected him anyway. You had Donald Trump standing up and saying, "I could shoot somebody in the middle of Fifth Avenue and not lose any support." They supported him anyway. Donald Trump said, "Don't wear a mask." They came to his rally, 6,000 people. They thought it was going to be a lot more, but they came, they didn't wear masks. Herman Cain is dead because of that. Do you think they would have believed Bob Woodward over Donald Trump? I don't think they would.
As hardcore people, I would sit there and say no. Even I would sit there and no, but then we don't know because it didn't come out at that time.
Okay.
So we can't go on I really can't go on hypotheticals. But what I can sit there and say is this: you wouldn't have this. Fox is iffy because Fox is pretty much the Southern Strategy Network. But you can pretty much. I don't think Fox would have doubled down and sat there and just pumped that if it came out there with Trump. But then we don't know. And when it comes to 9/11, I was working in King of Prussia. I was working, listening to Howard Stern, and Howard Stern talked about it, and I thought it was a joke. And for me, what impacted me that day is still traumatic for me to this day. This is the fact that my biggest issue was, where was my daughter? The chaos of that day, and you just never know where it was going to come. Was it going to hit Philly? Once it hit D.C., all the pandemonium and everything was going down. My first thought was, where was my daughter? Because my daughter was in the city, and I just didn't have a clue.
All right. I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD. If you want to get in, it is 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. See, for me, this is not on Bob Woodward. It's really not. We all knew he was lying, but we didn't have the tapes. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're going to sit around and say that this virus that's killing, 1,000 people a day is not a big deal and nobody should wear a mask, and your own medical professionals are refuting what you're saying to the point where you try to undermine them, we all knew he was lying. We didn't have the tapes. But this is not, to me, this is not on Bob Woodward, right? Donald Trump is the president of the United States. And he's saying, well, if Bob Woodward thought what I said was so bad, he should have said something. No, that's not his job. Like, your job is to protect the American people. That's your number one job. You had one job, and you failed. And you failed because you lied, not because you were just incompetent or because you didn't know, or, you know what I mean? No, you knew, and you lied to the American people. Talk about put disinfectant and light into your body, and maybe that'll help. Take hydroxychloroquine, and maybe that'll help, right? Just all kinds of just nonsense when you knew how bad it was. I don't know. Maybe it's me. 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. Let's go to David from Virginia on line 4. Go ahead, David. Go ahead, David. Good morning, brother.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead. You're on the air.
I just wanted to give you my background. I'm retired Navy. On September 11, I was stationed in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, and it was there. I was working inside of a classified vault, and I got the phone call from a Marine that said, "Hey, Stevens, get to the TV." And I said, "What?" He said, "Get to the TV." So I closed the vault, went to the TV, and it was there. Then I seen I missed the first plane. I seen the second plane hit the Twin Towers. And I said, "Oh, my God, man, the whole island was on lockdown." And I remember, because prior to that, I was stationed in the Pentagon, 94 to 97. And prior to me leaving, we got this civilian guy that checked in. And as I was leaving, he was, saying he's glad to take it on the job and everything. And I remember his name distinctly. And then next thing you know, the list came out. When that plane hit the Pentagon, he was on that list. I was devastated. And that area where the plane hit directly, that's where I worked my 3 years in the Pentagon. So it's real, real personal for me. And, the brothers and sisters that lost their lives in the Pentagon.
Tell me about when the plane hit the Pentagon. Where were you?
I was in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba.
Okay.
I was stationed in Cuba in the Navy. Yeah. And I got the phone call from a Marine that says, "Stevens, get to a TV. You're not going to believe this." I said, "What happened?" He said, "Man, I believe the United States is being attacked." And I closed the vault down. I went to the TV. Everybody was around the TV. And again, I missed the first tower that was hit. I missed that. But I seen the plane hit the second tower. Then there was a report that it hit Pennsylvania. A plane was shot down in Pennsylvania. And then another one hit the Pentagon. When it hit the Pentagon, I used to be stationed there. I knew friends that were there. So I called. I couldn't get through. All the phone lines were there. So I said, "Man, what's going on?" And the news coverage. And then they locked the base down. All military bases were put on lockdown. So couldn't leave your house unless, you had to call security to roam and go places. And, I mean, it was all throughout the country.
Yeah.
So in world. And it was an emotional period. And just to add to that story, I currently work with two people who were in the Pentagon when the plane hit. What happened was two were in the area where there was a direct hit.
Yes.
They happened to go to another area to visit friends. Plane hit, I forgot what time it was, 9-something, 10 o'clock, I forgot the exact time. But they went to another area of the Pentagon to visit friends.
Yes.
And one of the friends said, "You've been over here too long. You better get back to work." And they said, "Yeah, you're right." As they walked back to the place where they left, They said all they seen was black smoke. See, the Pentagon is in the shape of an octagon, and depending on where you were, you may not even have felt that plane. That's how big the Pentagon is. So some people never even heard or felt the plane being hitting the Pentagon. Others said they felt a slight shake and smoke everywhere. And like I say, I knew one of the personnel that was killed personally.
Wow. I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD Radio. Let's go back to the phone lines, talk to Lauren from North Philly on line 2. Go ahead, Lauren.
Hi. How you doing?
Good. We can barely hear you, though.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, you sound much better. Go ahead.
Okay, on 9/11, well, let's talk about something positive. I like Patti LaBelle more so than I like Gladys, don't get me wrong. I love Patti LaBelle. Everything about her. But 9/11, it was a difficult time. I was in the military for 19 years. I worked at my regular job for 15 years. And both of them are very compressed working. And when I heard the announcement that on 9/11, I was working at a very intense moment of the job. I can't get into detail, but trust me, it's the most intense day of the work day. And somebody was screaming, and I didn't understand because I thought something happened to her physically. And all I heard was towers. Someone hit the tower. Someone hit the tower.
Yeah.
And I wanted to call my family in New York, and I couldn't get through. I wanted to call my brother, and I couldn't get through. I was a sole care of my mother that was in a nursing home, and I couldn't get through. So on one hand, I have this, I'm working at this very sensitive job. I'm in the military, and I can't get through it to anybody. I got people screaming around me, and I'm trying to be calm, because that's the first thing I learned, is be calm.
Yeah.
You can't, I had to assess the situation, and I got to find out how to keep my sanity.
Yeah.
So when I have to close my eyes when I'm talking to you because it still hurts. Because it was the first time, Solomon, and when I say the first time, that I realized that I was by myself, like physically and mentally. I was working in an environment where it was an office job with none of the people were military, so they were reacting, of course, in the way that they react, you know, screaming and hollering. I couldn't get to my mother because my job would not release me to go, to leave. I didn't have a child, so that was one of the high priorities. You have children, we're going to let you go out early. Well, you don't have children, so you should be fine. And that's when I really realized the categorization where people put you in without you even knowing that you're in. It's still a difficult time because I could not leave. And when I could not leave, I had to wait till they made an announcement saying all non-essential people can leave. And I was at the elevator, and my boss tapped me on my shoulder and said, "No, you're essential. You can't leave." So I had to wait there until I got released to leave. And when I came outside at downtown, all you see was cop cars lined up, sector buses lined up, and no one else downtown but me.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
And I'm by myself. Like really, if you know me, I'm 5'4", and I'm by myself. And I have all these situations on my head. And I still wanted to go see my mother.
Yeah.
So since everything wasn't running, I had to walk all the way to like maybe a mile to see my mother.
Yeah.
Just so that she know that I'm okay. She had Alzheimer's. So I couldn't really talk to her about anything, but she had to see my face so that she can be at peace.
Wow, you know? I want to thank you so much for sharing that story this morning on WURD. Let's go to Victoria Green. She's on line 4. Good morning.
Oh, Solomon. Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, 9/11. I was working for the prison. I was at Pick. And when you punch in to get to my office, I had to walk by the warden's office. And I saw people in there looking at the TV. So I go in there, and I saw the first
plane.
First plane, yeah. And I don't know. I thought it was a prank. I just couldn't believe it was real.
Yeah.
And then when the second plane, everybody was so upset.
Yeah.
So what the prison did, they did a lockdown. They locked the prison down. They locked the inmates in. We couldn't go anywhere. They locked the prison totally down. So here I am in my office worrying about my family. I'm calling everybody to see if they're all right. It was just so scary. And so finally, when they let us out, they told us, don't come back. You know, go home. And that was the half of the day was almost over. So that was a very, very scary. And I thought about the inmates being locked in with all this going on, how they must have been very afraid. It was a scary situation.
I want to thank you so much for sharing that. And, of course, thank you for your work at the Amir Healing Center. So many people working on that issue of gun violence, including you. So thank you.
Solomon, like you said, we have to work together.
We do. We absolutely do.
Together. We got to.
Yep.
So I'm on board with you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. So we're going to try to get one more before we go to our guest. Jerry from West Philly is on line 3. Go ahead, Jerry.
Excuse me. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes. First of all, I want, if you don't mind, I want to give a big shout out, happy birthday shout out to my sister Valerie.
Absolutely.
Happy birthday, Val.
Happy birthday.
Okay. Now, another thing, too, 9/11, I'm glad that the people in the Army are sharing because I can only imagine. But I was working down South Philly at the time at Broad and Reed in an office, and I thank and praise God that I had the kind of co-workers that we always prayed together, and we heard about it on TV. And then we was able to call our family. Matter of fact, my daughter ended up walking to my job from community college to find out where I was at. And so I just was grateful that day that we couldn't do anything else, but we could pray. And people from the neighborhood stopped in, just to be there. And then the main thing was that I noticed that we didn't care about the color of nobody's skin. We loved, we hugged each other, we cried, and everything else. And a thing before I got on the call was that ran across my mind is that we know how to come together. It don't have to be no race war and all this kind of stuff. We know how to come together, but why it always have to be something tragic to bring us together and forget about the color of our skin? So I just keep on praying about that. There's some kind of way, like the lady said, we can work together and stop with this hate and stuff, because that's sin. That is sin, the hate that's going on. So we just need to pray, ask God to help us to do what we need to do. Each one of us has a gift, and our gift is to love one another and to help each other to get a better understanding, because violence don't do nothing but provoke more violence. And where does that get you at? Nowhere.
All right. I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD. We're going to go to break. On the other side, it's the Small Business Spotlight. We're going to talk with one of our small business members on the other side. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
Dietz & Watson has been making premium meats and artisan cheeses for over 80 years. And when it comes to stacking sandwiches and party platters, they've got something for everyone in the family, like maple honey turkey breast, American cheese, buffalo chicken, and more. So get to your local deli and taste 4 generations of family recipes. With Dietz & Watson on the table, you'll have everyone coming back for seconds and thirds. Dietz & Watson, it's a family thing since 1939.
No fear, just facts. WURD.
The pandemic has paused our lives even as conditions change. But when it comes to personal health, our bodies don't have a pause button. This is Dr. Heidi Seropoulos, Medical Director with Independence Blue Cross, reminding you to continue appointments for routine care and vaccinations. Medical offices are taking precautions to create a safe environment for your care, or use telemedicine when available. Refill prescriptions. You may be eligible for a 90-day supply, and many pharmacies now offer free home delivery. If you need emergency care, hospitals are dedicating separate areas for non-COVID emergencies. For heart attacks and strokes, every minute matters. If you visit a hospital or physician's office, wear a face mask, wash your hands, practice physical distancing, and avoid touching your face. For more, visit ibx.com/COVID-19. Don't let this virus keep you from getting the care you need. Together, we will beat COVID-19.
Lifting every voice
Till earth and heaven ring.
This is Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia.
Black Talk Media. Back by popular demand.
It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on Word Radio,
96.1 FM
and 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD. We now welcome Dr. Mujahid Niyahuma. He's the president and CEO of Glochem International, and also Guy Dunn, who partnered with Dr. Niyahuma to grow a new division of the company called the Germ Killers. He's the COO of the company. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you both?
Oh,
excellent.
Doing great.
That's good. That's good. So, Dr. Niyahuma, am I pronouncing that correctly?
Perfect.
Okay. So tell me why you founded this company and what does Glochem International do?
Okay. We started the company back in 1988. I was working for the City of Philadelphia Commerce Department and decided to venture out and become an entrepreneur. I got some help from a company out of Canada to set up a specialty chemical company, and the rest is history from there. We've been as a corporation since 1992, Glochem International, Inc. And over that period of time, we've had clients from all over the world, including most of our clients right here in Philadelphia, but we've been selling chemicals in India, China, Africa, and to Europe. And so just recently, about a year ago, we were approached by a company that produces the antimicrobial product, and we didn't take it that seriously initially, but you know, as the pandemic came in, we found ourselves in the midst of something that could help provide a solution to the pandemic, at least in terms of managing it.
And so you do several things besides that. I do want to get to that, but you do real estate development, financing, and distribution of industrial equipment and supplies. So it seems like when you say you're diversified, you really are. You do a number of different things.
Well, it's all depends on the people you have around you. And so I've been lucky over the years to have people who've brought different skills and experiences and resources. And so that's given us the opportunity to become a really diversified company.
And so with the microbial part of what you do. That's where Guy Dunn comes in, I'm assuming. And so tell us about the germ killers. What is that, Guy?
Well, go ahead, Guy.
Well, the germ killers, we are a division of Glowcam, and what we do is we do two things. One, we sell disinfectant and antimicrobial chemicals, basically to kill germs as well as to keep places safe from germs for a long-term period. And also, we actually provide the services to do what we call our two-step disinfect and protect service, so we can go into a facility and kill all the germs and then provide a antimicrobial barrier, which basically keeps their facilities, all the surfaces, germ-free for up to 90 days.
Okay, and so how long has that been in existence, that part of the business?
Going over a year and a half, 18 months.
Okay. Now, when you first started, and you said at first you didn't take it seriously, Dr. Nehuma, when the pandemic hit, how did that change?
Our whole world changed in terms of one, having a solution to this problem, particularly in terms of this antimicrobial product. It gave us the opportunity to let people know that there is a way you can manage this pandemic. And the antimicrobial is a way of managing the pandemic in terms of schools, hospitals, churches, daycare centers, restaurants. And so we've been spending the last 6 months or so marketing and trying to inform people, educate people about what this means in terms of having this product available.
Guy, what happened when the pandemic hit in terms of people contacting you? What changed with that?
Well, I mean, still, like with any business, you still have to market it. You still have to educate the customer and the potential customers about what can be done to solve the problems of being able to understand you have a safe place to go to. I mean, right now, churches are still not open, and other businesses are opening on a phased schedule where they're basically saying, okay, well, you may be able to open up, but it's still apprehension on the customer and consumer to say, okay, I feel comfortable going into places. So what we do is we basically had to teach people that there are alternatives and that you don't have to be afraid to go into places if you're able to keep them clean and basically live with a new level of clean mentality. And that's what we're dealing with. So once we did that and started explaining to people, it started to, be something that people embraced and said, that's what I want to make sure that, for my peace of mind as a business owner, but also to satisfy the needs of my customers and helping them to want to come back.
Guy, can you explain how the product works that the germ killers markets? How does that product work?
Sure. All right. So our antimicrobial product is it works in conjunction with the disinfectant. Disinfectants, and what the deal is, most companies come in and they have a company that disinfects their facilities. Okay. But the reality is disinfecting is a short-term solution because most disinfectants only work when it's wet. So if you come in and somebody comes and cleans your places and disinfects it, it only works when it's wet. As soon as it dries, it can be recontaminated. That's why we focus on the protection, which is we add the second layer of antimicrobial protection. It actually puts a barrier on top of things, a microscopic barrier that's if you can imagine a bed of nails, okay, and it has a bed of nails in a microscopic layer that sticks up. So when germs or viruses or microbes are attracted to it because they're attracted to the electrical molecule that is sticking up, it disrupts the cell membrane, and those microbes, those germs, those viruses are destroyed.
Okay, so if I come in, so you've cleaned a place, and I come in, and I cough, and the droplets are on the surface of, say, my desk, right? So what happens with those particles or the virus that is contained in if I have a cold, say?
Right.
what happens?
Those particles, those germs that come out of your mouth, that come out of your nose, are in the air from you. If they try to land on the surface, they actually cannot land, because as those cells land on or try to land on the surface, the membranes are disrupted and they disperse, because it is not, so it's no longer an active organism.
And important too is that the product is water-based, it's non-toxic, it's environmentally friendly, and safe for humans, animals, and plants.
Okay. How do people learn more about your company?
Well, there's two ways. One, our website is thegermkillers.com. They can go to our website, and we actually have a link on there if they want to get a free estimate. They click on it and basically gets their information, and we would give them an estimate. Or they can just call us at 800-651-8430. thegermkillers.com.
All right. All right. Well, gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for joining us this morning on WURD Radio. We really appreciate you and your business. Of course, you're small, forward small business member, so thank you so much for that as well. And we really appreciate you and what you're doing, and wish you much success.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Okay.
Take care.
You too. So we appreciate them. That, of course, is Dr. Mujahid Niyahuma. He's president and CEO of Glowchem International, and Guy Dunn, who partnered with Dr. Niyahuma to grow a new division of the company called the Germ Killers. You can contact them at their website, and we thank them both for joining us this morning on WURD. So if you want to get in, it is 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio, and let us know where you are on these various things that we are talking about on this morning's show. 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That's the number that you can call to get in on a conversation right here at WURD. You can, of course, also weigh in on Facebook at onWURD. That's FORWURD, FORWURD. Let us know where you are on these various things we're talking about on this morning's show. So we're, of course, talking about our top stories, which include story number one of the homeless encampment. The city is trying to figure out how to do that over multiple days, not just one day. And so we'll see what happens with that. Story number two, the bad news: you won't be getting a coronavirus stimulus check before the election. The worst news: you might not get one after the election either. Senate Democrats scuttled a scaled-back GOP coronavirus rescue package yesterday because apparently the Republican package did not have checks in it for the people. They had checks for everybody else, but none for the people. So we'll see what happens with that. And, of course, story number three, Donald Trump. Imagine you run a country and something's killing the people you're supposed to protect. Now, imagine being so selfish, so utterly trifling that you lie about it because you care more about power than you do about the people. If you can imagine doing that, congratulations, you're Donald Trump, because nobody else would tell the kinds of lies that would kill 190,000 people. But that's what Trump did, and we got receipts. Matter of fact, Bob Woodward wrote a book about it. Want to hear it? Here it go. Donald Trump told Woodward that he knew the virus was airborne and deadly, but he downplayed it because he didn't want people to panic. And now Trump is telling us that if Woodward thought what Trump said was so bad, Woodward should have gone to the authorities. I'm like, wait a minute. You are the authorities. You the president. It's not Bob Woodward's job to protect us. It's yours. I want to hear from you. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. Also, it is September 11th. And so we want to hear from you. Where were you on September 11th? Give us a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. Of course, people also weighing in on Facebook at onWURD. That's FORWURD, FORWURD. Kawesa, what are people saying this morning on Facebook?
I got a couple of comments here. Natasha Nettles is saying, thanks, gentlemen. God bless. In regards to our business spotlight segment. So thank you so much for tuning into that. Valerie Jones, good morning to you as well. David Howell, Trump and these racist Republicans and his base are willing to destroy this country, America, from within, even if it means the total demise of themselves as well as their children. 45 may be the evilest person mankind has ever known. Shame on him. Zen Motley is saying good morning to us. And then also Ravetta Everett Gilmore is saying have a great day and weekend, Word family. So that's a couple of comments there. And then also I did catch a couple more. Avis Davenport, 9/11. I was in the hospital. I broke my right leg, my femur bone, the day before on the 10th, on my birthday. When I woke the next day, I thought I was watching the movie The Tower Inferno. I didn't know what happened until I got out of the hospital a week later. So that's another comment there. Madeline Metley saying, where are our elected officials on both sides of the aisle on his recorded statements concerning COVID? And Cheryl Brown, good morning to you. Carmen Iris, I was just waking up, about to get ready for work. My husband told me about the first crash. I thought he was exaggerating. I saw the second one hit and was shocked. I worked at a preschool. They closed down. All businesses closed down. My son was about 4 months old. We were in shock the whole day, glued to the news. For some reason, this year, 9/11 feels heavier, probably because of the leadership we have today and the situation we are in. I couldn't agree with you more. And lastly, we have Deborah Dorn Carter. Solomon, 45, will probably come up with some ridiculous lie to cover himself or either find someone to blame. That's what he does. He is not going to take responsibility for anything. So those are our comments we have.
All right. Those are our comments on Facebook. We're going to go to break. On the other side, we are going to continue the show right here on WURD.
Start every Sunday the right way
with Sunday Morning Praise.
Hosted by the Reverend Louise Williams Bishop. Every Sunday morning beginning at 6 a.m. right here on WURD 96.1 FM and 900 AM.
Streaming live at wordradio.com and on the Word Radio app.
Just one more step. You got it.
You're doing great. This is the sound of a nationally ranked top rehabilitation hospital, home to the largest collection of robotics in the United States, where we continually exceed patient expectations. Because no injury is too severe or too minor for our care.
There you go.
This is the sound of success. Moss Rehab. Challenge accepted.
During these unprecedented times, we're creating a lot of extra trash, and that means delays across the city with curbside collection. That's why we have some simple tips that will help you to reduce curbside waste and collection delays. Reduce food waste by using garbage disposals or composting, and limit bulk waste to 2 items per household. Set out trash properly. That means using sturdy trash bags and covering containers with lids. Make sure your trash bags are not heavier than 40 pounds. Set out trash no earlier than 7 p.m. before your collection day and 7 a.m. the day of collection. And remember, you can drop off materials at sanitation convenience centers 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Last and most importantly, thank our sanitation workers for their hard work during these challenging times. We all have a role to play to curb our waste and help our city. Learn more at philadelphiastreets.com.
Jobs,
entrepreneurship opportunities, small business resources,
and financial literacy.
Livelihood. The new initiative from Word Radio to connect Philadelphians to resources to help take the next steps in their professional lives. WordWorks.com features career readiness tools, entrepreneurship resources, funding opportunities, and events to expand your livelihood. Visit WURDworks.com right now and take the next step in your professional journey. Livelihood is supported by the Nightland Fest's Local News Transformation Fund, Borealis Philanthropies Racial Equity and Journalism Fund, and the Solutions Journalism Network. It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones.
Good morning.
Right now on Word Radio,
96.1 FM
and 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD. As we come into the home stretch, we've been talking about 9/11 today and where you were when 9/11 happened. It's one of those days you just don't forget where you were. It was a traumatic day. It was a transformative day. It was a day, I think, that changed everything. And at the same time, didn't change much. I want to know what you think. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let us know where you are on these various things we are talking about on this morning's show. 215-634-8065, of course, is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD. We're talking about all of that and our top three stories, including this one. A day after the deadline for residents of several protest encampments to clear out came and went, Philadelphia city officials said Thursday the resolution of the camps where dozens of homeless people live will likely be a multi-day operation. That, according to the Philadelphia Inquirer. Story number two, the bad news is you won't be getting a coronavirus stimulus check before the election. The worst news is you might not get one after the election either. Senate Democrats scuttled a scaled-back GOP coronavirus rescue package yesterday as the parties argued to a standstill over the size and scope of the aid, likely ending hopes for coronavirus relief before the election. I really think that all of this is political. We're inside 2 months before the election, and Democrats, of course, don't want Trump to get credit for giving people a check right before the election. Republicans, after the election, probably won't want Democrats to get credit. And, you know, the other thing is this, and I think Democrats are right on this, that it didn't include checks for the people. Like, where the checks at? Hold up. Why is everybody getting money except the people? That's crazy. So that's story number two. And, of course, story number three. Imagine you run a country and something's killing the people you're supposed to protect. Now imagine being so selfish, so trifling that you lie about it because you care more about power than you do about people. If you could imagine doing that, congratulations, you're Donald Trump. That's what Trump did around the coronavirus. Now 190,000 people are dead. He's trying to blame Bob Woodward, the journalist who interviewed him and got him to admit that he knew exactly how dangerous this thing was, even as he was telling people the exact opposite. I want to know what you think. 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. I think it's an interesting defense, Kwesa, that, you know, well, Bob Woodward, you heard me say it. Why didn't you tell the authorities? Is it me?
No, it's not you. I'm just like, one, you know, you shouldn't have said. There's so many ways to really kind of look at this, right? Because I kind of feel like if Woodward had have put out this information immediately when Trump said it, then we wouldn't have gotten all the other dirt and tea that he found out later on in this series of interviewing and questioning him. You know, and so I think that, you know, and I hate to even be this way because no one should really kind of hold the lives of or hold people's lives in their hand. But, you know, at the same time, you know, I think that, you know, he was playing chess. And he was like saying, you know, I mean, I know I'm trying to put this book out, but at the same time, like, this is a combination or a total of all these things that Trump has been doing and Trump has been saying. And he admitted it on tape. My biggest thing is, you know, Trump is over here coming at Woodward, but you know Woodward's history. He, you know, it was the reason that, you know, Nixon, you know, went down. And so you sat there and opened up your trap and was talking to him, and you knew good and well that he was probably going to be using this information later on. So how dumb are you? That's how I'm looking at it. You coming at Woodward, but you got to be dumb as bricks to be putting out this kind of information to a journalist who, you know, was the reason behind the downfall of another president. Yeah. Like, come on.
Yeah, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. And it is so crazy to watch all of this play out. And Donald Trump was trying to spin Bob Woodward. You know what I mean? And you know, trying to get a better book, because this is not the first book that Woodward is writing about Donald Trump's administration. He wrote a previous book. The previous book was not flattering at all. And so Donald Trump figured, okay, I'll give him more access. I'll talk to him more to try to spin him to get him to write a better book, because I know it's going to come out around election time. So I'm going to give him all kinds of access. He talking to the people, talking to Bob Woodward without his press people knowing anything about it, without his communication people knowing anything about it, not listening. And this is part of the problem with this administration. You have all these people around you for a reason. They're there to help you, to share their expertise with you, and to help you make good decisions, so that you are not just out there by yourself talking to Bob Woodward. You should never be doing that. Never. You know, I've worked in politics. You would never allow the person that you are working for to talk with somebody like Bob Woodward by themselves, without any witnesses, without anybody there, without anybody to say, tell them, hold on for a minute, let me give you some information so you can give a better answer. Like, that's just not, you don't do that. You know what I mean? Like, you know, so to be the president of the United States and to give Bob Woodward your cell phone number so he can call you in the middle of the night and ask you stuff, it's just dumb when you know he's taping it. Come on, bruh. You just, I mean, you know, you can't be that dumb. I want to know what you think. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. And here's the other thing. So he's telling them all kind of stuff, right? Telling them about nuclear secrets. Why are you telling Bob Woodward that? That's top secret. Ain't nobody supposed to know. Like, and he's telling them this stuff because he likes to brag. And it's just, you know, you have to have a sense of discretion to have that job. You can't tell everybody everything. You can't. That's why it's so stupid for him to be on Twitter. You should not be on Twitter just saying everything that you think. Everybody should not know everything that you think because you're the president. For real, like, you know, for real, man. Just even beyond the politics of it. I don't care if it was Obama. Get off Twitter. Why are you on Twitter every day, all day, in the middle of the night? Like, what are you doing? Everybody's not supposed to know everything that you think. They just not, especially Bob Woodward. So, you know, I mean, my feeling is you get what you get. You done told everybody everything that you think. I don't even tell everybody everything I think on the radio. I just don't do it. Because it's not conducive to me having a positive life. I'm not going to tell you everything that I think. You the president, you telling Bob Woodward everything that you think. What is wrong with you? I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. Audrey from South Philly's on line 1. Go ahead, Audrey.
Hi, Solomon, Word family.
How you doing?
Hi. I was at work with my coworkers that day, and we saw the airplanes hitting the World Trade buildings. You know, we had a TV in the office, and it was a clear blue sky day, and we were shocked to see what happened. We were told to go home from work, and that was the longest day to get home on SEPTA. The buses would not pick people up. I had to walk to the train station on Midville Avenue to get home that day. But the kicker is I used to work at the World Trade Center in the Department of Taxation and Finance on the 62nd floor. But I left in, 1975, moved back to Philly, and I did get a chance to go visit the World Trade Memorial Museum. And and I just took the time to look at all the pictures and the photos of those who lost their lives that day. But I didn't see any pictures of my former coworkers, on that wall. And I just thank God. But it was a tragedy for those who did lose their lives that day. And every year when it comes around, you think about that, and it's just horrible thing that happened.
Yeah, it was horrible. I want to thank you so much for sharing that this morning on WRD. Let's go to William from Willingboro on line 2. Go ahead, William.
Man of God, good morning.
Good morning, brother.
Pastor, I also was at work. I think we all was at work and witnessed that horrible day. The planes crashing into it and watching people trying to jump out the windows and oh my gosh, it was terrible, Pastor. And I'm angry. I'm angry that you fast forward to 9/11/2020 now, and 191,000 has died too, has perished, you know. And I just wanted to say, Pastor, you know, rest in peace to those people who lost their lives in New York. And rest in peace to the people that are losing their lives right now. And my condolences to all of the families. And, you know, because it's horrific what we're witnessing. You mentioned earlier about just the stillness. When I walked outside, just the stillness, you know, just the quietness.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I
that
do.
was the eeriest feeling.
It really was.
And then you fast forward to March of 2020, and it's the same. It was like that same feeling, that feeling of stillness, that eeriness, and it really makes me angry because it's senseless that so many had to lose their lives then and now. And I just want you to have a great weekend, Pastor.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate your call this morning on WRD Radio. Let's go to Viola from Millsboro, Delaware on line 3. Go ahead, Viola.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
To Word family. Well, I have a kind of funny story about 9/11, but I didn't have anyone close to me that lost their life. I had a couple of friends that had a nephew or, you know, a close relative of theirs, so the effect can be somewhat the same. Yeah. But my husband called me. We had cell phones then. I was on my way to a friend's house to take her and her daughters to her father's house in West Philly. And my husband calls and says, when you get to Mr. Wood's house, turn on the TV. Something just happened in New York. Planes flew into the World Trade Centers. I get to Mr. Wood's house, and I said, where's Mr. Wood's TV? Pop-Pop don't have a TV. He don't have a TV. I said, oh, my God. Listen to a transistor radio feed. He was very cool. I happened to have a small portable TV that I used to use in vending, and I was able to plug that into my car, and I had to sit in my car and look at what had happened.
That was crazy.
But it's, you know, it's something else. And my cousin, my first cousin, she lived in New York, and she was there for maybe a day or two, and then she calls me up and she said, I can't stay here. She said, please, if you can't come get me, I'll get the train. She caught the train, and I picked her up at 30th Street Station, and she stayed at my house for maybe about a couple of months until she was able to go back to New York. But it was a very sad occasion, and here in Millsboro, they have a 9/11 memorial every year at the VFW Club. But I'm not really crazy about going there because most of the folks that belong to that particular unit are all Republicans. So
I hear you.
I don't really do too many things. Although they had a African American woman that graduated from Hallahan High School, who was the overseer of that particular unit, but she's not anymore. So I don't really participate with too many things there.
I hear you, and I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD Radio. You know what? We got to go. I'm sorry we can't get to all of the callers, but we appreciate all of you, and we want to thank you for tuning in today for Wake Up with Word. We hope you have a wonderful weekend. Thank God it is Friday. I want to thank all of our guests, attorney Rashida Phillips of Community Legal Services, Dr. Mujahid Niahuma and Guy Dunn of Glowchem International, and of course, financial advisor Akbar Hassan. And now, for super producer Kawesa Mathis and everyone here at WURD Radio, I am your host, Solomon Jones, saying stay tuned for The Source with Tiffany Bacon, and tune in Monday at 7 for more Wake Up with Word. Peace.
Support independent black media and join the Forward movement now at 215-425-7